1976 and 1977, Mark Stebbins, Jill Robinson, Christine Mihalik, and Timothy King were abducted, held for days, and murdered. Their killer, known as the Oakland County Child Killer, has never been caught. Now sources are telling 7 Action News that a new suspect has emerged, and it's someone who is still alive.
I just didn't believe it was her until I went to the morgue to see her. My dad couldn't even identify her. All I know is I want to get a hold of the guy that did it, or whoever did it, because I love my sister.
Footprints here in the snow, on the steps, and fingerprints here on the door frame are among the physical evidence uncovered by the State Police Crime Lab. Right now, they're looking for a man believed to be anywhere from 19 to 25 years of age, 5'10" to 6 feet tall, very slender with a prominent nose, and dark, long, wavy hair.
It all began on February 2nd, 1976. Everyone thought it was an isolated case, but the murder of Mark Stebbins of Ferndale remains unsolved. His body turned up 2 weeks after he disappeared in a parking lot in Southfield. The 12-year-old had left his mother and brother at a social function, never to be seen alive again.
Not a day goes by, where you don't wonder and, worry about it. The whys and the wherefores, how long he had been dead before his body was found, who it was.
Based on the investigation at this point, Sergeant, what are your chances of catching the individual or individuals before an incident like this occurs again?
I wouldn't be able to put it in a percentage-wise. There'd be no way for me knowing this, and I don't think anybody could put it in a percentage.
Tonight, our look into the cold case of the Oakland County child killer takes us on a road trip to North Fox Island in northern Michigan. Police were investigating a child pornography ring on the island back in 1977. Now, just months after 3 Oakland County children were killed and just weeks before another, Timothy King, was abducted.
The pornography operation was run by a man with ties to Metro Detroit, and police were anxious to find out if he was involved in those serial killings.
Yeah, one theory in the Oakland County child killer case is that it was part of a group of wealthy pedophiles who were trafficking in child pornography and groomed underage kids who became victims. A massive investigation led to 2 people, Frank Sheldon of Grosse Pointe, who owned much of North Fox Island, and Jerry Richards, a teacher in Port Huron who recruited young boys to fly to the island on field trips.
I remember getting on the plane, I was so excited. Me and Mike and there's 2 other kids. I think one was a grade above us and one was a grade below us, if I remember correctly. And I remember landing. I remember getting our stuff, getting our cabin. And, within an hour, we were naked on the beach. That's just how it was. If you live on an island, this is how they do it. And there's cameras, a lot all over the place, really.
It's the case that's haunted Metro Detroit for more than 3 decades. 4 children abducted and killed along the Woodward Corridor in the mid-'70s by the infamous Oakland County child killer.
Christopher Brian Bush was a convicted pedophile who lived in Bloomfield Hills. The 7 investigators were the first to reveal Bush's autopsy report after he allegedly killed himself inside his family's Bloomfield Township home.
I'm J. Reuben Appleman. I'm the author of The Kill Jar, the first book about the Oakland County child killings. When I was a child in the 1970s, somebody tried to abduct me, and I got away. Nothing happened, but at the same time, they were looking for a kid killer outside of Detroit, and I grew up wondering if that person who tried to abduct me was the Oakland County child killer, the alleged Oakland County child killer, singular. What I later learned after I started digging into the case was that this appeared to be multiple people involved in the abductions of these 4 kids in the 76 and 77. Yeah, I spent 10 years researching that case. This was not a lone maniacal serial killer the way everybody wanted it to seem in the 1970s, or the way the police wanted it to seem in the 1970s, but multiple people involved in these abductions, and with multiple strings to other, fucked up things that we know about. Fox Island, Cass Corridor, pedophile rings, and, a lot of people, when you talk about this shit, they think you're just a little bit over the edge. But there's only so much of the traditional narrative that you can believe in once you start looking at the documents related to this case. The prosecutors, the political system at the time in Detroit, they knew that. They were covering for people, and, the big story of the book is that was true. But in 1976, Mark Stebbins was abducted. He was found beside a dumpster in Southfield, Michigan, which is right outside of Detroit. He had been He had been in captivity for a number of days, and nobody knew anything until he was found, and they claimed there was no evidence. They claimed he was not sexually assaulted, but documents later showed that he was.
It all began on February 2nd, 1976. Everyone thought it was an isolated case, but the murder of Mark Stebbins of Ferndale remains unsolved. His body turned up 2 weeks after he disappeared in a parking lot in Southfield. The 12-year-old had left his mother and brother at a social function, never to be seen alive again.
Not a day goes by, where you don't wonder and, worry about it, the whys and the wherefores, how long he had been dead before his body was found, who it was, where he was, what he had to go through. And, yes, I'm still very bitter.
Between the time Mark's body was found and that interview was conducted, another youngster had entered what was to be a growing list of infamy.
Then, shortly after Mark was abducted, Jill Robinson, a young girl, was abducted. She was also alone at the time. They found her body several days later.
From Royal Oak, Jill Robinson, 12 years old, was missing. She ran away after a fight with her mother. No one knows anything about the person she met on that adventure, only that that person is a killer.
I thought somebody found Jill.
Mrs. Robinson is especially worried because today, Christmas, is something that Jill was really looking forward to. She had saved enough money from her allowance to buy gifts. Gifts that still remain unopened.
I haven't seen her since, and I wasn't really very worried for an hour or so because she's very stubborn. And I thought she'll stand in the next yard and think about it or go around the block or something. And then I thought maybe she went to visit her father.
In 4 days, it was the day after Christmas. Her body turned up in Troy. She was dead of a shotgun blast to the head. County Prosecutor Brooks Patterson told me the investigation would not soon end.
Still remain anonymous, but the investigation is proceeding. But I can't say that a suspect is surfaced nor that an arrest is imminent. I don't think the public expects these things to be broken in 48 hours.
48 hours passed once, twice, over and over. And while the search for the child killer continued, it happened again.
Months passed between these abductions. Many months later, Christine Mihalik was abducted. They found her body after being held in captivity for something like 19 days.
It will be a week tomorrow since Christine Mihalik disappeared while coming home from this store. In those 6 days, the community has come to realize that a missing child in this area is not merely the problem of the parents. Most of those out collecting funds today have families also.
The money is being used for reward for apprehensions of persons or persons who are holding Christine. If it's not used within a year, if anyone should ask, the money will be turned over to the City of Berkeley for crime prevention against children in the City of Berkeley. And this is Chris's family's wishes. Okay. Thank you very much and good luck.
I think it's worthwhile. We have to find the girl. We need information to find the girl. No matter what the situation is, and that's why I'm here. I think this is the only way we can do it.
When 10-year-old Christine Mihalik never came home from a 3-block trip to a party store in Berkeley. Within 2 weeks, she too was found dead, this time in Franklin Village. Local police department, state police, and the county began one of the most intensive searches in Michigan's history. And so with this scene now all too vivid in our minds, the search continued, but turned up nothing of importance.
Shortly after that, Timothy King was abducted. They found his body in a ditch.
The key to Timothy King's disappearance is still the rear door here at the Hunter Maple Pharmacy. This is where the youngster was last seen leaving at 8:30 Wednesday night.
Well, I want to say hi to Tim. We love you, Tim. God bless you. Stay tough. I have one other statement to those persons or person who may be with Tim. I don't know if you have children or if you want to have some, but please treat Tim the same way you would your own kid. Talk to him. He's a talkative kid if you spend some time with him.
The victim this time, Timothy King, age 11 of Birmingham, last seen at a party store 3 blocks from home, found a few weeks later on a dark roadside in Livonia.
Livonia police kept a mile-long stretch of Gill Road blocked and allowed only a select group of investigators near the body. Though no official statements were being made, the red jacket Timothy King was wearing when he disappeared could be seen from the roadblock. The police began checking license plates and cars going both directions on a mile-long stretch of 8 Mile Road in hopes that a suspect would return to the scene. As part of the routine, Oakland County deputies stopped and searched several people but turned up nothing.
Do you have any reason to believe that the suspect might still be in the area?
Nothing specific, no. But this type of crime, very often the responsible will return just to see what's going on.
I still feel the most important aspect is the investigation and get this animal off the street.
Oakland County became concerned, fearing it might be an ugly pattern developing. Residents' worst thoughts seemed to be coming true.
We received our call from Livonia stating a body had been found and that the clothing description was similar to that of our missing boy.
State and local police say they have no one man under suspicion yet, but they think he lives and works in Oakland County, is a trusted member of the community, and not just some ragged loiterer offering candy to kids.
And shortly after Timothy King was abducted, the abductions of these children stopped. They were all white kids from the suburbs of Detroit, but these were blue-collar suburbs. All 4 abductions happened over the course of 13 months. At the time, the citizens of the area were terrified. Nobody knew what was happening, only that these suburban white kids were going missing, and there were no witnesses, allegedly. Nobody knew why, allegedly. There were no sexual assaults on these victims, allegedly. They just thought somebody was abducting kids to kill them. Everybody was terrified, pretty much. There were posters put up everywhere. It was the beginning of the era of stranger danger. Eventually, there were some witnesses, alleged witnesses, that said they saw a certain type of car, a blue gremlin. They saw a certain type of guy that they thought was the abductor. And these posters on lampposts and in shop windows were put up everywhere with a sketch of the guy and a mock-up of the vehicle, the blue gremlin with the white hockey stripe.
There were tire tracks found at the scene of where they found the body of Christine Mihaly. Match the gremlin at all?
Not to my knowledge, no.
We would hope that you wouldn't start speculating in that area, okay? We're telling you what we would like you to know. And if you speculate, you could ruin things for us.
Well, we had a customer in the other day that had been stopped. The police and state police stopped him, and local police too.
How do you take it?
In stride. In stride. He was not happy. He was not upset, but he was not happy about it.
Despite all the bad publicity and new car AMC dealers are not happy about it, blue gremlins with the white stripes are still being sold. In fact, one was sold here today in Royal Oak.
So my girlfriends came over one night and they said they saw a man out there looking in my car. I came out off of work one time and there was a guy looking out at my car, but that was it.
You do get some strange looks.
Yeah.
It's got to affect business, especially on the blue gremlins. But I would hope that something would happen shortly where this thing would be settled.
We know now that there were multiple cars involved and multiple people involved, but at the time, there was a pretty sizable manhunt on for this alleged person. You know, millions of dollars of resources were spent. The FBI was helicoptered in. 300 investigators were working on the case at the time. They took over a part of a shopping mall to set up their headquarters, and they allegedly never found anybody related to this case. And at a certain point in 1978, the task force related to this case eventually closed shop, saying they had lack of resources.
It's virtually another police department with one solid goal: this crime. You take a look at that, and that school building has every indication that it's practically an independent police force. It has everything that every police force has. It has all the equipment and all the experts that are necessary to run one police force, and a very large type police force.
Well, you have something like 50 agencies involved right now.
That's correct.
Would you want to try to draw like one man from each agency, or would they be primarily state police detectives?
No, we'd be writing the grant, and it would be our understanding that this would allow for local law enforcement and the technical aspects from the county and state. In other words, the bulk of these individuals would come from local law enforcement people.
But now you say that...
But by the way, someone would have to subsidize the salaries of these officers, because you have to understand that a long-term investigation, they either have to pay out overtime to replace that body at their station, that detective's abilities to handle their cases. So what we're saying is that we know that it's not going to be an easy matter to resolve this, and we have to have money for a continuing long investigation up to 6 months.
Here, what I'm interested in, as long as we have the manpower, we've got enough cars and gas in our cars and paper to put in the typewriters, we're going to be in business. And if it comes through, we're going to be in business for a long time.
We would like to continue it until we can resolve this case.
Do you have any idea how much money that would be?
We are presently working with people in the LEAA program to adopt the monies and the grant application that would be necessary. Every member of the task force feels that someone has to know outside of the guilty individual, has to be aware of the facts and circumstances, maybe of not all of the crimes, but certainly of one.
The Oakland County Task Force was disbanded near the end of last year due to a lack of funds. The consensus? That the killer was either dead himself or gone from our communities, possibly never to be found again. The task force had exhausted thousands of hours, hundreds of thousands of tips, and the mystery continued, and it continues today.
But at the time, it was the largest murder case in Michigan state history. More money had been spent on trying to find the abductor murderer than had been spent on any other case in Michigan history.
So why do you think they never caught somebody?
They already knew who had done some of this, or at least had partaken in some of this shit. We know for a fact that certain suspects that they had at the time were good for these murders, or at least for either partaking in some version of the abduction and murder or not had knowledge of the murders. So there were a couple of people at the time. Christopher Bush was the son of a wealthy General Motors executive. He had been questioned about these murders. He was facing criminal sexual conduct charges up north of Detroit. His wealthy executive father had managed to sort of get him out of most of the shit that he was in. He was partnered with a guy, Gregory Green, who had been convicted of something like 50 criminal sexual conduct charges in California. He had choked a kid, burned him, and thrown him onto the lawn of a hospital at some point. Shortly after his release, Christopher Bush and Gregory Green team up and they start molesting kids together. Both of those people were questioned in the OCCK case, the Oakland County Child Killer case. Both of those people failed polygraphs. Both of those people dimed on each other. Christopher Bush says in an interview with police, Gregory Green killed Mark Stebbins. Green dimes on Christopher Bush. They're failing polygraphs and shit, but it's stated that they passed polygraphs. Okay, now we know that on the night Mark Stebbins, the first abduction of the 4 Oakland County child killings occurred, there was a guy named Arch Sloan working late at night in the auto shop where he worked. He called the local police because he was already on their radar for some shit. He said, I'm going to be working late tonight. You don't have to stop during your rounds, because it was a small area and they would do rounds. And if they saw lights on and shit, they would, roll up and see what's going on. He calls the police on the night early before Mark Stebbins is abducted. He says, hey, everything's cool, man. This is me working late at night. Okay, so Mark Stebbins is abducted. They don't put the pieces together or whatever. They don't think, oh, it must have been Art Sloan or something because he called the police. That's not how it worked. But later, they eventually catch up and they start questioning all kinds of pedophiles and whatever. They eventually pull some evidence from a vehicle that Art Sloan owned. That DNA evidence matches DNA evidence found on Mark Stebbins. It wasn't Art Sloan. It wasn't him. But Art Sloan, the night Stebbins is abducted, calls the PD and says, hey, don't bother me tonight. I'm just working. Later, they discover that DNA found in his vehicle matches the DNA on one of the bodies. Okay.
Sloan's Secret. A 7 Action News investigation reveals new allegations against the man named as a person of interest in the Oakland County child killing. A man who says Art Sloan molested him as a child is speaking out tonight only on 7.
His name is David Barney, and he says back in 1976, he lived across the street from the Sloan family in Southfield. And he says he was just 7 years old when he first met Art Sloan, who knew exactly how to lure little boys.
It took a little turtle. I'd never actually seen one in real life, and that's how I met him. He gave me a turtle. That was it.
David Barney says that's how his nightmare began, with a neighbor he now calls a master manipulator.
He was just the friendliest, kindest, doing anything he could for anybody. My mom got a set of golf clubs brand new from him. She thought he was just the greatest.
David says what Arch Ed Sloan did to him and other boys in the neighborhood destroyed him. He says Sloan molested him during a 3-year period, starting when he was just 7.
He just took away an innocence of a little child. And it's affected the rest of my life. All these years later, I never stopped thinking about it.
But David says there were those in Sloan's family who knew exactly what was going on.
I just know they knew. The mother knew, the father knew. They knew what he was doing.
David says his parents let him go with Sloan on fishing trips, and he says Sloan loved to drive kids around with him in his 1966 Bonneville. That's the car we now know contained hair that has the same mitochondrial DNA profile as the hair found on Oakland County child killer victims Tim King and Mark Stebbins.
When I saw the picture, it was almost like a horrible flashback.
The new evidence about the Bonneville came to light this week when Oakland County prosecutor Jessica Cooper announced it at a press conference. The hair doesn't match Sloan, but the child killer task force wants the public to come forward with information about who Sloan may have associated with, the Bonneville, or any of Sloan's other vehicles. Do you think Sloan was capable of killing someone?
For me, I can see that type of person he was going farther and farther.
David Barney says as a boy, he never went to the police or told his parents because he was scared. But he plans to go talk to detectives now. And he says he wanted to come forward to us in the hopes of helping other sexual assault survivors.
So we got Christopher Bush and Gregory Green. Then you got this guy, Art Sloan. And then you got this guy, Vince Gunnels, who's now, a middle-aged man, but was a teenager at the time. His DNA matches one of the bodies as well.
Before last night, we'd never even heard of him.
But now this man, James Gunnels, tops the list of people detectives want to talk to in a murder mystery that's haunted this area for more than 3 decades.
Who is this man police believe left a hair on the blouse of victim Christine Mahalik? His name, James Vincent Gunnels, a career criminal, identified by his multiple tattoos, both shoulders, both legs, a girl in rose on his chest, a sun on his right arm, a cowgirl on his left. They tell only part of his story. The rest comes from police reports. The defenders have learned James Gunnels grew up in Flint and was best friends with nephews of Christopher Bush. Christopher Bush eventually molested Gunnels at his northern Michigan cottage. Still, police refuse to talk about Gunnels publicly.
Go on the record in the press indicating the evidence they had and asking people to come forward.
When police looked into Gunnels as a suspect, they crossed the country, flying to a prison in Montana. He intentionally threw a polygraph test there, and when his DNA was a mitochondrial match to the hair on the body of Christine Mahalik, police shuffled some paperwork and had Gunnels transferred to a prison in Michigan, hoping the close proximity would give them more opportunities to get information, a move the families like.
I've been tearing myself up for 35 years. Because there's not a day that goes by that I don't think about this.
Police questioned Gunnels' cellmate, who told them that Gunnels claimed to be molested at 15 years old by a man that killed multiple people, and that he believed he was told the victims were children, and that Gunnels may have been minimizing what he knew about or his involvement in the Oakland County child killings. Today, Gunnels has served his time and is a free man living in Kalamazoo. The defenders broke the story for the first time ever, a DNA link between someone and the Oakland County child killer case. A man who is still alive, walking the streets. A man the defenders recently caught up with while hidden cameras were rolling.
They took that and they twisted it to their advantage. Now, do I feel I was a fall guy for them? Hell yeah. I feel I still am. To some degree.
This is James Vincent Gunnels, the only known physical link in the Oakland County child killer case. Tonight, you will hear him tell his story for the first time ever.
I'm done living in fear of what they have told people.
The defenders broke the story earlier this year. Police tested Gunnels' DNA against a hair found on the shirt of Christine Mahalik, one of 4 known victims abducted, held captive, and eventually killed in 1976 and 1977 by the Oakland County child killer. Gunnels is a mitochondrial DNA match, which means it's his hair or a relative of his on his mother's side. The families of the victims are certain Gunnels knows what happened. They want him ordered to testify before the grand jury under oath to find out what he knows.
Nobody seems to want to believe it, so.
Since breaking the story, the defenders have repeatedly asked Gunnels for interviews. Each time, he's refused. So he headed out with hidden cameras rolling to find out more about the man who is the best lead in the 35-year-old murder mystery.
I told my story, Mike, 100%. Didn't add nothing now. The story.
We find Gunnels out riding his bike after being released a few months back from prison following a series of break-ins, robberies, and car theft. He lives in Kalamazoo now, and on this day, he's out looking for a job. He stops for a smoke break at a local rec center and continues on. When we approach Gunnels, we tell him we're from Local 4 News and are surprised when he opens up and starts talking.
My heart goes out to those families, brother. It really, really, really does. I don't feel that they were served justice through any of this.
Then stunned as he goes on in great detail about the evidence, the cops, and the victims' families.
I'm not guilty. There it is there. But at the same time, I know how the state police twist words to their advantage.
According to police records, Gunnels' story is that he was a teenager at the time of the Oakland County child killings. He was molested by one of several key suspects in the case, a man named Christopher Bush. While the families of the victims and some police speculate that Gunnels may have been used to lure children to the car of the killer and forced to put the victims' bodies on the side of the road after they were killed, Gunnels says it is not the case.
I don't know what they're telling them, man. Right. I don't. All I know is that I'm an innocent victim.
Gunnels says if his hair is on one of the victims, it's because he was in Chris Bush's car on several occasions, and somehow his hair was transferred to the victim's body. He says he never saw Chris Bush attack anyone other than himself.
I see right now on the record, I don't know what that man did to anybody else.
Gunnels has thought about telling his story to the victims' families.
At one point, I was going to sit down with the families and talk to them,
insisting he feels terrible for them.
I couldn't imagine having that happen and not know for all these years. I really could, really could.
Especially because of the way police have handled the case.
By them to keep people thinking, well, yeah, we're working this case, we're doing everything we possibly can.
He does not trust investigators on the task force.
Over and over and over, man, I say to myself, that's corruption. That's these people doing some things to twist the truth, man.
Saying interrogators tried to trick him.
They're legally allowed to tell me anything. They can lie to me, say anything they want. Whether that was their motive at that time or not, I don't know.
Gunnels tells us he has nothing to hide.
I can't incriminate myself if I'm not guilty.
While insinuating he knows so much more.
I wish I could tell you that. I really do. Seriously, I am right now. I'm getting emotional about thinking about things that I wish I could say. And I wish the public could.
Right now, Vince Gunnels is in and out of prison. I think he's in right now. Art Sloan is in prison. These two guys are both alive. Christopher Bush and Gregory Green are dead. I'll get to that in a second. But currently you got two guys alive with DNA matches tied to them. They're both in prison right now. The police have not charged them with anything. You've got Christopher Bush, who is a primary suspect at the time, the son of this wealthy executive at GM. And GM was like the heart of money in the world. It's like saying his pops worked for Apple, was a high up VP at Apple or something or whatever. GM at the time was the center of money in America. Detroit was the center of money, the auto world. He allegedly commits suicide right in the middle of being interrogated, so to speak. Right in the middle of all this investigation, Christopher Bush is the number one person to look at. All kinds of evidence lead to Christopher Bush and Gregory Green. And then Christopher Bush ends up dead. And very shortly after that, the task force shuts down, claiming lack of resources. They give no other explanation. They say they have no evidence. They say they have nothing. They say they have everything you think of as evidence. Let's say they look for blood, no blood. DNA, no DNA. They didn't know DNA back then, but it's the same kind of shit. Semen or whatever. Hair follicles, shit like that. They claim they had nothing, man. And when I started digging into those documents, I can't believe it took me digging into those documents, which is kind of crazy. I don't even understand how it went decades without anybody actually getting those or looking into them. I saw that they had all kinds of evidence. They had blood, they had semen, they had saliva, they had fingerprints, they had clothing, they had all kinds of shit. They already had the DNA matches, but they were still publicly saying they have no evidence. So that was very funky, man. And immediately upon looking at those documents, I thought, oh shit, they covered this shit up. I actually like the police, man. I like the police. I appreciate what the police do. I am not a police hater. So like, when you're talking to a guy like me who says the police covered this shit up, they lied through their teeth, I'm telling you the truth. I want nothing more than to say the opposite. But there were police that covered this shit up and lied through their teeth. And that's still going on, man. There is currently, right now, another DNA match that nobody is talking about because they don't know, because the police are sitting on it. And that DNA match from another of the bodies goes to a kid who was a teenager at the time of those murders, and he's sitting in prison right now for sex offenses. That's a real thing that's happened that nobody's talked about. The TV show doesn't talk about it. No current YouTuber, no current TikToker, no current whatever. It's because nobody knows yet, except for an insider who told me about it, told me in detail about what they have right now. What I'm saying right now, there are 3 people in prison: Vince Gunnels, Arch Sloan, and this other sex offender, all with DNA ties to this case. And the police have not yet put the grip on any of those people and said, look, here's what we're going to do. We're going to charge you as an accessory unless you tell us what's happened. I mean, it'd be so easy. You take Arch Sloan out of his cell and you put him in a box and you say, tell us now what the happened, or, you will die in here. And Arch Sloan might say, well, I guess I'll die in here, because he's already, probably dying in there. But you take somebody like Vince Gunnels, who was a teenager, he was a molestation victim of Christopher Bush. Very many of us think that Bush and Green used boys to lure the girls. And those boys probably partook in some stuff. They know some shit. Vince Gunnels knows some shit. His DNA was found in one of the bodies, and he was a molestation victim of Christopher Bush and Gregory Green. Take Vince Gunnels out of the cell that he's in, put him in a box and say, look, brother, we're charging you as an accessory to these murders because we have your DNA, we have all kinds of shit, and you won't ever get out of prison. Or tell us what the happened. But nobody has done that. It's very suspicious. What all that anybody who studies this case can say is that they don't want the answer, because then they have to say, yeah, all you, quote, conspiracy theorists or whatever were right for 45 years or 50 years. It was Chris Bush, and it was Gregory Green, and it was Arch Sloan, and it was these other guys from Cass Corridor, Ted Lamborghini, and it was Richard Lawson, who they gave a badge to as a confidential informant, and he used that badge to go around molesting kids in Detroit. And it was Frank Sheldon of Fox Island. But Frank Sheldon, sitting in Amsterdam after absconding from Fox Island, who knows who did? He's sitting over there in Amsterdam, and before he absconded, running from the law on Fox Island, he was associated with Ted Lamborghini and Richard Lawson and Christopher Bush and Gregory Green and all those in the Detroit area. Frank Sheldon was sort of like the silent partner, let's call him, There's no way in hell Frank Sheldon didn't know who a year later was killing these kids. Of course he did. Christopher Bush was the main suspect at the time. They pulled him in because he was looking at all these criminal sexual conduct charges, which he was found guilty of, along with Gregory Green. Interestingly enough, Gregory Green gets life on the same sexual charges that Christopher Bush gets probation for. We can look at that and go, what the happened here? Or we can go, I know what the happened here. Christopher Bush is the son of a wealthy General Motors executive, and Gregory Green is a guy who already did time in California for this shit. Okay, so we'll give him life. But Christopher Bush gets probation on the same shit and $1,000 fine for molesting kids. He gets $1,000 fine. So that's what it cost to molest kids back in 1977, $1,000. And, however, possibly your life. Because what happened was Christopher Bush is sitting in a polygraph room with an independent examiner at first. He fails the polygraph. The independent examiner doesn't mention this. It's not his job to mention this. He's, in fact, he's in a confidentiality thing. We only know this because decades later, this guy comes out and say, hey, Christopher Bush failed that polygraph, actually. But Christopher Bush is looked at as the main suspect at the time. Why? He seemed funky, man. He was looking at all these other criminal sexual conduct charges, and he was a shitty witness for himself in interrogation. And he and Gregory Green are diming on each other, and things just seem off. And Christopher Bush had, a year earlier, driven a similar car to the Blue Gremlin they were looking for. He drove a Chevy Vega, it's the same car. All kinds of things were pointing at Christopher Bush. Okay, the cops allegedly didn't know much about Christopher Bush, except that he looked like he might be associated with this, and they were still trying to press him a little bit. But then what happens is Christopher Bush is reported as possibly being in trouble to some degree. His housekeeper shows up at his house. He's living with his parents at the time. He's in his 20s. The housekeeper shows up and she can't get in. So she calls Christopher Bush's brother, Charles, says, hey, there's something weird. I can't get into the house. So they think maybe something's going on with Christopher Bush. Charles calls the police and says, something's wrong. Can you go to my house? The police show up. This is the official narrative anyway. The police show up and they gain entry into the house and they find Christopher Bush dead in an upstairs bedroom. Allegedly from suicide. The weapon is a long gun, let's say 2 feet long. Allegedly, he hooked his thumb into this big gun and he shoved it into his head and shot himself or whatever. But at the alleged scene, they find ligatures and there's a picture of Mark Stebbins on the wall, a hand-drawn picture. Well, of screaming in pain, by the way. Mark Stebbins, the first victim. We say, well, gee, it's hand-drawn. Are you sure it's Mark Stebbins? It looks exactly like Mark Stebbins. So somebody who could draw drew a picture of Mark Stebbins. Christopher Bush wasn't a great artist, though, so it's interesting. But somebody who could draw drew a picture of Mark Stebbins and tacked it on Christopher Bush's wall. And in the closet, they found ligatures. And they also found a suitcase full of child pornography, all of which has been either destroyed or hidden right now. They claim they lost it. We don't know what's in the suitcase full of child pornography that was found at the Christopher Bush alleged scene. Nobody knows who's in those photos because the police claim they don't have it. We don't know where if there was blood on the ligatures that would later match any of the victims because the police claim they don't have the ligatures. And we don't know if there were fingerprints or anything taken from the drawing of Mark Stebbins to match to Christopher Bush or anyone, because nobody knows where any of this shit is. So we're talking about the largest murder investigation in state history, and your main suspect is found dead with ligatures, a drawing of the first victim, and a suitcase full of and allegedly all of the evidence is lost later.
So behind us right now is the former home of Christopher Bush, Chris Bush, the main leading suspect in the Oakland County child killings. Now, Chris Bush has been tied to North Fox Island. He was the son of a General Motors executive. So this guy had political power and a lot of money behind him. It's interesting. We've been driving around very rough neighborhoods in Detroit, looking at these other places. And then you come out here to this, I don't even know what you'd call it. It's like
suburb.
Yeah, but it's like Stepford Wives, like everything's perfect.
Very affluent.
Yeah, very rich area. And it was in this house where Christopher Bush was murdered. Now, the official report says that Chris took his own life. We don't believe that. I didn't believe that for a second when I read the story. The multiple shell casings found in the room, the lack of blood at the crime scene. But it was reported that Chris was doing things out of this house. We don't know if he held boys here, how much child was found in the home. We know that a lot was when they searched Christopher's residence. They found those images, a suitcase full of them, and films. But this is where he died. Now, was Christopher responsible? Was he a patsy? You don't know, but it's a weird contrast to go through all of these rougher neighborhoods where all these kids are being trafficked around. And then you come out here to the main suspect's house, and it's like money, rich. Shows you that money can buy anything, as disturbing as that is. And I wonder if those people know what happened in their house. It's eerie, that's for goddamn sure. Like, I wonder if these people's families have been here for a while, if they knew Bush and all that. I wonder if the
people who live there now know the shit that went down in that house.
Who knows? Whatever truth he had took it to the grave, and I think that was the point of getting him killed. Crazy, though. Crazy to visually see all these elements of a story that you've read so many times in my case.
Honestly.
All right.
So Christopher Bush has a picture of the victim, which is enough. He has ligatures, which is enough if they would test for DNA on that shit. He has a suitcase full of child which is enough. The murder weapon is given to his father because his father says he wants it back. But he writes an IOU to the police department saying, I'll give this back to you if you want it. But they let him have it because he's H. Lee Bush. H. Lee Bush, the General Motors executive, his father, was also rumored to have been a procurer or a user of boys who procured them from some of the known suspects in this case. So let me paint this in another way. Christopher Bush grows up with H. Lee Bush, who is an alleged and rapist. H. Lee Bush and his peers at General Motors were involved in a little bit of a child sex ring, we think. Like, do I have proof of that? No, but we have dozens and dozens of people talking about it at the time. Not today, but at the time. And so was that shit ever looked at? No. Christopher Bush grows up with that man. Christopher Bush then, early on in his adulthood, is known to have molested one of the children of his brother. And then later, Christopher Bush is molesting kids all over the state. And looks good for one of these murders and is then dead. And nobody can prove anything happened with him or whatever because he's dead. What we think in the community of people who really study this case is that it's very likely that H. Lee Bush, the General Motors executive, his father, or one of the associates of his at General Motors, who were rumored to also have been involved in a pedophile ring, took Christopher Bush out of the picture because there was a lot to lose should Christopher Bush sit in court and talk about everything that he knows. It's scary to think that the father of this guy, who was only in his 20s at the time, would have been complicit, if not active, in his murder. But it looks like Christopher Bush was murdered. There was no gunshot residue on his hands. There was no, all the usual stuff, whatever it is. We could spend an hour talking about it, but it looks very much like Christopher Bush was murdered, and that his father and the people at General Motors that were involved with his father and their sexual activities with children knew what the was up. Like, Christopher Bush was going down for these murders if he were to live, and they couldn't have that happen. And that sounds a little crazy. Well, you think, well, yeah, but what kind of people were children? I mean, we assume, we don't know. H. Lee Bush was never convicted or charged or convicted of anything. But there's a lot of statements saying that, yeah, man, this guy used to get kids for H. Lee and all that shit. In fact, we know that Christopher Bush's mother showed up in a limousine to try to bribe Vince Gunnels into not talking about his molestation by Christopher Bush. I mean, Vince Gunnels is the one who has the DNA on one of the kids. But it's all laid out in the documents, at least the accusations. I'm not making up shit. Nobody ever came to me and said, hey, man, you just slandered me, because it's all in the documents. They all know it. There's not a single cop, not a single relative of the Bush family. Nobody ever came up to any of us who were writing about this shit and said, hey, you got it all wrong, because it's all right.
Our first stop here on the hunt for the Oakland County child killer brings us to suburban Detroit. Right here, we just circled this parking lot. We determined is where the first victim of the Oakland County child killer was dumped. Mark Douglas Stebbins. He was 12 years old, and on February 15th, 1976, his body was recovered. If you follow me right over here. I'm gonna turn the light on so now I can kind of see where we're stepping.
It was right on the other side.
He would have been found right here. We actually took a look at the crime scene photos, and Mark's body was found right next to a brick wall. So this wall looks to be old. This is right. Yeah, this is definitely right where his corpse was found. And if you actually, it's pretty crazy, man. If you come back over here, obviously I'm gonna blur them for YouTube, but we matched up the building itself right back there. That's the original building that was here back then. And we matched up the crime scene photos, the orientation of the detectives in the photos, and it points to his body being found literally right here. Now, I'm not going to 100% say with confidence that it was right here with this wall. Like, maybe they removed some of the wall at some point in time or something like that. But I'm 99% sure it was right there behind that brick. Remember, with the Oakland County child killings, these children were dumped. They were not killed here. The mystery is, where were these kids killed? And obviously, since this is unsolved, who killed them? It's just wild to be here in Detroit. Like, this is a case we've wanted to cover for a long time. And to see the building and then connect that to the crime scene right there. It's haunting, man. Right?
I mean, the scariest part of these stories is that the person who did it is never been found. And there's probably even more than we even know of.
So our goal tonight, this is our first night on the ground in Detroit. We are going to employ a spirit box an Ovilus device, and at some point an Estes method to see if we can speak with anybody or any spirits who are in this area who could point us in which direction we should go to investigate these killings. Now, obviously, this is a dark and very sensitive subject, so we're going to approach this with tenderness, with appreciation of the lives that were lost, with sensitivity. But we're doing this because we're in the pursuit of the truth here, and this is a story that I really think needs to be talked about more because the answers are right there, and yet nobody wants to acknowledge them. Let's get our stuff out, man. By the way, guys, we are joined in this video by Exploring with Josh.
Hey, guys, I'm ready. Now, mind you, I don't ever do murder cases, so this is my first time joining you guys on this, so I'm excited, super excited.
Yeah, we've been talking with Josh all day, kind of blowing his mind with the details of all of this stuff and what happened, because it's you guys are going to see in a bit, it's really deep and dark.
Dude, no, like when they showed me the article, I had to read it like 100 times for it to stick in my head because it goes so far. I didn't even know, like, there was so many dates, I kept forgetting things, so it goes pretty deep.
You see, the whole point of this is not entertainment. We actually care about this story, and we want to help try to tell it and use tools that maybe it'll give us something that the investigators have never gotten. There are psychic elements to this case that are really intriguing. I don't know what that means. First two words on this device that came through were radiation manufacturer. Christopher Bush, the lead suspect, worked and ran a sex trafficking ring out of a power plant in Michigan. And that's like a lot of the people involved in this were involved in the energy. I don't know if it's nuclear, but same difference.
Yeah.
Manufacturing energy. I think that's that's a big part of this story that we didn't even cover yet.
Yeah, I don't even know about that yet. So that's actually, all right, you're telling me something I don't even know yet.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy, actually. So let's just start this. Whoever's here with us, we're here to treat you with the most respect possible. Weirdly timed noises from over there. Four, dude, four alive. I don't know what the alive. I don't know what that means.
But it said 4.
4. There are 4.
Yeah, it's 4.
4. So,
right.
I want to introduce ourselves. My name's Colin.
My name's Connor. And I'm Josh. We're good.
We're just here to ask you a couple questions. If there's somebody here with us, can you tell us something about the abduction that happened here, the body that was found?
What? No.
Pornography. The first word that came through.
Now, guys.
Whoa, dude! I got
device really quick.
Yo, I actually got goosebumps from that, man.
What is that device? So we can tell everyone. It's like an ovulus. An ovulus.
Dude, look at my. Oh my god, dude! All my arm hair is standing on end. That is fucking insane. Yeah, it's basically fluctuations in the EMF energy in the environment will go through a algorithm and give you a word.
Right.
Pornography is the first word when we ask about the abduction.
And how many words would be in a word bank like that?
Glenn. There's 76,000 total words on this device.
76,000 words, and we came up. I don't know. That is actually.
Wow, that's crazy. And the word Glenn. I don't know if that's a name associated.
And we wouldn't know anyways.
No.
Yeah.
We'll look it up.
Glenn. Scared me.
I know. There's like.
I got actually scared. I thought there was like a wind gust that came through there, like someone's running at us. What is that?
Occupations.
Occupations? I mean, that could be anything. Does anyone here who knows who Christopher Bush is? What?
Submitting, bro.
Submitting.
Donated. The fucking pedophiles on the island.
Oh, yep.
They were getting the dude.
Through the donations.
Whoa, that's actually insane.
Donated.
Donated gear.
Like cameras and shit?
That's so dark. So to explain that little facet of this, the North Fox Island ring would donate money to the camp that Francis Sheldon operated on the island, and in return he would send them child prints. He would send them prints, bro. What the fuck? That is insane. Yes, I literally, dude, he would send them prints.
This thing has been spot on right now.
And it said at the very beginning. Oh my god, dude.
This is spot on. So obviously
What?
someone here is talking to us, because that can't be all right nonstop like that. Someone's definitely talking to us.
Samuel.
And then Knox. You had Knox before that.
Dude, that's prints. I literally was saying, so the would receive printed child and videos mailed to their house if they donated. So whoever's here, can I ask, was your death involved with the operations of a ring on an island?
See me.
See me?
We can't see you, but if you talk, we can hear you. Whoever this is. Were you ever taken to North Fox Island?
Island!
What the? I'm not shitting you, bro. Look at that. 29,000 words and phrases, and it picks
Island. Dude, no. Island and in one go hour sitting. Dude, someone is just blurring it all out to us.
Bro, I'm actually like,
that is so. That's
what
some of the best ever in one go.
Nag.
Threat. Island threat pornography. Dude.
It's painting a disturbing picture.
Right.
Threatened to keep quiet about the island, because the theory is some of these kids, the North Fox Island ring was busted in late 1976, but his body was found at the beginning of 1976. So some people theorize. It keeps.
Dude, that's what happens.
Like moving.
I know, it sounds like.
You feel like there's someone here.
Is there someone here with us right now?
What else can you tell us?
Take them.
Take them to the island.
What if they were taken to the island for 7? Because remember, they didn't die all at once.
Yeah.
So for 7 days, they could have been at the island and then drop back off here.
That's the theory, is that especially with his body, because he was taken and murdered and dumped while that ring was in full swing.
So he could have already been there when all that stuff was happening. So his prints could have been donated.
He was there.
He was there. We're just talking about it right now.
Oh.
Yes.
Dude, that like didn't even connect.
Yes.
Take them. He was there.
Holy.
What if it's saying take them to the island?
Walk back.
Walk back.
Does he want us to? I mean, we can't go. It's private property. Look, we can walk over here a little
But
bit.
it's even like take them to the island.
That's
He
what I
was
mean.
there.
Take them.
He was there.
Do you want us to go to Fox Island?
Deceived, bro. Dude,
no way.
Deceived, because the kids
Yeah.
were all deceived. They were told they were going to summer camp, and they were on camera. Reuters. That's weird. News, like Reuters, the
What is that?
huge international news that's
right,
been running since like definitely at that time. Are you saying you want us to take this story to the news? Pudding.
I don't know.
We walked back here. Histology. Thank you for telling us the island is insane, guys. The island is Armenia.
Don't know.
So we're trying to find out what happened on the island.
One lady.
One lady. A lady on the island? Who was there on the island? Or should I say, were you killed on the island?
Again?
Again. Wait, what did I just ask about the island?
I already forgot what you asked.
Who was on the island?
I said who was on the island? Were you killed on the island?
Did they do anything bad to you on that island?
They've upset me.
They've upset me.
He was there again.
He was there.
And what did that say? They've upset me. He was there.
Holy shit. I feel like we're having a whole conversation and they're just talking back to us accurately.
Well, it's crazy. It might be even like cameras. Like they've upset me. He was there. No one did anything about it.
Right.
Colton. There was a guy named Colton there? Is that what you're saying?
Say Chris?
Chris.
Come on.
I am not.
It's legit.
Dude.
I just feel like
It's peaceful.
My death was peaceful? Okay.
I don't get that.
Chris. Guys.
Cameron?
Cameron.
What's up with all the
Unless
scenes?
Cameron's like one of some other kid from the island. I mean, hundreds of kids were there. Not sure.
I mean, guys. Chris.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, Chris is Chris
Chris is the main suspect.
of the whole thing.
Christopher, technically.
Yeah. And the whole thing with Christopher, just so I can like remember this, is like he was the one that apparently did kill all of them, and he did the whole polygraph, failed it, and still didn't go to jail. And then he did all these other and killings, but never got in trouble for any of them. And his dad was the General Motors guy.
Yep.
And he had all the money to get out of everything. All right. I just want to make that clear and sure too.
Yeah, and don't forget, he took his own life.
Oh, right. And yeah. Can you explain that as well?
Christopher's role in all of this, Christopher Bush, Chris Bush, he's the lead suspect here. He's a part of this ring, people believe. And his dad was a power player, chief financial officer of General Motors, super wealthy family. Chris came from money. He got off on multiple charges of assaulting children, kidnapping children with other men. I mean, his parents would pay off victims all the time too. And when he got out on bail from his initial kidnapping and sexual abuse charges against kids, the Oakland County child killings started. And basically at the end of all of this, he failed a polygraph, like you said. And there's a lot more that we're going to get into with him, but he apparently killed himself, even though there were 4 rifle shell casings found in his home. There was no blood anywhere in his apartment, or his house, even though he allegedly literally took a rifle and blew his brains out. There was no blood. And there's a lot of inconsistencies with the story.
Now, one thing I want to know is, there was one thing I read that he admitted to 3 locations where he would pick kids up, and 3 of them were for the Oakland County killers, in the same locations.
Yeah.
So he admittedly already pretty much ratted on himself, not knowing.
Yeah.
So that's the thing.
And here's the shocking part. To this day, he's never been officially connected to the Oakland County child killings. It's all a conspiracy, even though it's 100% he was the guy. So there's even people that admitted that he did it.
So do you think it was just a big cover up and all the head honchos and everyone put their money to kind of shush everyone up?
I don't know if Christopher killed all of the children. Forgetful.
But for him not to get in any trouble, do you think it's because of Daddy and the money?
I think Christopher was involved in the much wider ring. They may have been producing snuff films with children on North Fox Island, and he definitely had his hand in some of these murders. But at the end of the day, when the police started putting pressure on him and they were closing in on him as a suspect, he was killed. And that's my personal opinion. He didn't take his life. They kind of like Epstein wanted to take him out.
Exactly. I was going to say that goes with the same thing with Epstein. It just happens to be another island. It's just freaking crazy.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. This is all insane.
That has to be some of the craziest shit that we've ever seen on this.
For real.
I mean, dude, it's incredibly dark, bro. It's incredibly dark.
Accurate evidence.
Yes.
And this is what we're looking for.
This has to be the most accurate this thing's ever been. Ever. We've used it in probably 20 videos now.
Jesus.
Were you flown on a plane to the island or a boat?
Sandy.
What? I said Sandy?
That is crazy,
It still
bro.
goes with island, and it still goes with Boat, kinda.
No, it 100%.
Yeah. All right. I thought it was.
That is insane, dude.
That's weird.
That's the thing, dude. This is so freaking accurate.
To whoever's here, I just want to ask the boy whose body was found here, what happened to him before his death? I know this is a tough question to ask, but what happened to him before? Harden?
H-E-A-R-T-N.
Can you tell us anything about what happened to him before he died? Or how he was killed? Anything like that?
Airplane.
No, it did not.
Dude.
It did not. Airplane. I asked it. How'd you get there? And it just an airplane. How the fuck?
No way.
How the
Did you actually just ask that?
I said that. You heard it. I said, how'd you get there? By plane or by boat? That's what I said. And it just said airplane.
It's insane, bro.
We're
hose.
What the fuck?
I'm actually stunned. I don't even know.
The evidence is so good. It's some of the best stuff I've got accuracy in a long time.
Bro, the whole thing is coming out here right now, we didn't even expect this conversation to be about North Fox Island, or we were just trying to come out here to talk about Mark and like his death and what happened. Pressure PF. I mean, bro, it's like I'm like shocked actually right now because this is a story I've been so invested in, and to fucking hear these words coming through our device right now is heartbreaking and terrifying at the same time. And it's like we came here seeking some sort of an answer. We already have it, dude.
I don't even know what to say anymore. I just feel like we solved the case without even like doing anything. We just, you know what I mean? At least in paranormal world, it's just ridiculous.
I mean, it's like the validity of all of this and the devices that we have. Legislative.
We got a lot of answers here, more than we expected. It's going to start raining again soon. We just looked at the weather app, so we're going to start driving to the next location. But if there's anybody here, is there anything you would like us to tell a family member of yours who might still be alive? Or any final message? We're so sorry if we disturbed you, but we want to help tell your story accurately and get some justice for the person whose body was found right here.
Sad, dude.
I know. Yeah, it kind of feels emptier all of a sudden.
It does.
Like, it's just energy that you can't get on camera, but you feel like it's really kind of like gone different here.
It was amazing. And yeah, it's a little quiet.
The rain.
Yeah.
Completely stopped.
True.
Everything's stopping.
When we do these videos, I think what's crazy is when you just stop for a second and think a 12-year-old's body was found right there and no one's been convicted for the murder. Violations? It's just like, and obviously somebody who's here in this area wants to tell us that there's, I'm just mind blown, a link to a fucking island. Like, I expected maybe like 1 or 2 words in this 50-minute session that we've done to line up. We probably got 20 responses that were
back to back,
right on it.
I mean, exactly what we were looking for.
But more.
Yeah.
Literally.
Well, you guys want to go to the next one?
Let's do it.
Looks like the rain's clearing up, actually, weirdly enough.
It is.
Very nice.
Perfect time.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Thank you to whoever's here.
Yeah, thank you for speaking to us.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it. You've been amazing.
Hopefully, what we do, we can at least try to bring a little bit more light to the situation that put your life to an end. And we're truly sorry about what happened to you.
Well, on to site number 2.
Let's go.
when 10-year-old Christine Mihalik never came home from a 3-block trip to a party store in Berkeley. Within 2 weeks, she too was found dead, this time in Franklin Village.
This is where 10-year-old Christine Mihalik was found.
Like in these woods right here. Just dumped right here on the right. Makes sense.
She was dumped somewhere right around here.
In this neighborhood. This neighborhood's obviously new and built.
Yeah.
Look, this house is all completely redone.
It didn't
So
used to
back
be
then,
like
this was all woods.
Private property violators will be persecuted.
Yeah, we could get out right here then.
Well, we're on a public road, so. So the second victim of the Oakland County child killings, Christine Marie Mihalik, was found right here in this area on January 2nd, 1977. This was a brutal death. She was found frozen here because it was really cold in this area at the time. There's still no justice for Christine. We would get out here and investigate. We were going to, but this is in a really nice looking neighborhood now. Back then when this happened, this was really undeveloped. And as you can see right there, they don't want anybody poking around here. We don't know exactly where her body was found, but it was somewhere in this area. And once again, it's just eerie to think this place was only 10 minutes from where we just filmed our investigation at the first body dumping site. The thing is that's really interesting to consider here is the fact that this killer didn't care. Her body was found, as it says online and in the reports, in very clear view of the houses around here. So this killer was really comfortable coming down here and dumping a body, almost begging for it to be found, you know?
I never even thought of that. That's true. Just like with Mark, the first death, it's in a public like garage, like just right there.
Yeah. The killer wanted these bodies to be found. So what message were they sending with it? We don't know.
That's the thing, no one knows. And like, why? Why well fed them and take care of them? Just to dump them anyway.
Just to dump them somewhere along here. Christine, we're sorry that what happened to you happened. We're doing this for you if you can hear us. And we all hope that you found some sort of love and peace. Crazy just to think of the dark things that happen that you never know about. This is a really nice neighborhood, probably expensive to live here. And an unsolved child murder, the body was found right here. Well, not right here, I don't know exactly where, but somewhere along this road. It's just crazy to think about. Well, let's keep going.
The victim this time, Timothy King, age 11 of Birmingham. Last seen at a party store 3 blocks from home. Found a few weeks later on a dark roadside in Livonia.
Damn, so his body was there, but man, that looks nothing like this place now. It's all redevelopment.
I wonder if that house is still there.
Let's try to find that.
Well, it's got to be one of these houses that's right here.
Nah, not close, huh? That one looks like more of a pointy one on the roof.
Yeah, the map says he was found on the other side of the road. So right now we've come to Gill Road and 8 Mile here in Detroit. This is where March 22nd, 1977, Timothy King, his body was found. Timothy was only 11 years old when he died, and when he was found, his body was still warm, so they assumed that he had been strangled about 6 hours earlier, or suffocated, I should say. He had chicken in his stomach. Seems like the killer had listened to Timothy's mother talking about how she would feed him chicken when he got home, his favorite meal. And all the reports say that Timmy's body was found in a shallow ditch off of Gill Road. Now, we're off Gill Road right now. There's no exact pinpoint as to where his body was found, but this is kind of some of the last undeveloped property. The house in the picture, we couldn't find a match. Obviously, it's at night, but it had to be somewhere right here in this area because everybody says Gill Road and 8 Mile. So we're going to do a quick spirit box and see if anything happens. Now, something I will say, Timothy, or Timmy, is linked to Christopher Bush. Once again, that suspect that we were just talking about. Timmy was, according to a witness, another victim who turned into a perpetrator. Timmy was sexually assaulted at Christopher's lake cabin. And
Now, was his lake cabin on Fox Island or near it?
it was near Fox Island.
Okay.
And so Timmy's never been officially linked to Christopher or anything like that because, like we've said many times, there are no answers in this case.
Weren't they seen together?
Yeah, they were. That's what I'm saying. The victim, years later, testified that he had been raped with Timmy at the same time by Christopher.
Okay.
We're going to run a spirit box right now. And why don't we just want to go in a circle and ask some questions?
Yeah.
I want to introduce ourselves to anybody who might be here. My name's Colin.
My name's Connor. And my name's Josh.
If you can hear our voice right now, if there is somebody here, can you tell us hi or hello or something like that? Text? I'm dead. Hate this. Please. Can you tell us your name? Kid's voice. A local.
Help me?
Two men. Choke to death. I swear to God, I just heard choke to death.
It sounded like.
Did you hear that?
Were you choked to death? Can you say yes or no?
Maybe.
All these people.
Dad.
Was there other people involved?
Your child. I'm used to it.
Have you been to Fox Island? I've been there. Yep, I've been. Yep. Fox.
I swear to God, I would.
Okay.
All right. Can you say your name loudly and clearly, please? We just want to figure out who you are.
Jump off the plane.
Uh-huh.
Sorry. People.
Can you tell us who did this to you? Detroit.
Do you know the name of the person who murdered the child that was found here? Can you say the name?
Huh. Do you need any help? If you do, can you say the word help? I heard help.
I want to get confirmation. So the child whose body was found here, who was murdered, they were brought to an island. Can you say yes or confirm that?
I think because it's kind of low, there might be a lot of things we're missing that we're going to pick up through editing this. I think we're going to hear a lot more than we think.
Well, how about to finish this out, we walk over there and do 5 minutes on that side.
Yeah, just in case
this wasn't the area.
Yeah.
To be fair, only one car, I think, or two came by this whole street, I think, since we're doing that. And they're in the middle of the whole street. It's like you said earlier, it's like a ghost town here. Look at this. The middle of the whole street. It's wide and everything. There's no one here.
Yeah, and that brings up something to think about. If nowadays in 2024 we can stand out here in the middle of the road, no cars coming either direction, any of the four directions. Back in the 70s, nobody was out here.
So yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, so anything could happen. It's just even more quieter. It's pretty spooky, man.
Dude, something interesting about this, think about it. It was pouring rain when we were driving here. And like the moment we got here, the rain completely stopped. There's no rain. Look at, there's zero rain falling. Isn't that odd? So maybe we're closer now to where your body was found. Can you tell us your name, please? Say it really loud and clear. Local.
His name is.
I heard local again.
And I heard his name is. Caleb?
Hello. Can you tell us the name of the person that did that to the little boy? Mark.
And tell or can't tell?
Can't tell. We're trying right now to piece together who committed those horrific child murders here, of even the boy whose body was found in this area. Where should we go investigate next? Where should we ask these questions? Where did these crimes happen?
If Timmy's here with us, can you tell us what happened that night?
He choked.
I swear to God, I just heard.
Can you tell us who choked him?
Oh my God, I heard Timothy. Okay.
Who did it?
Was Christopher Bush involved in the death of this child in any way?
Dead.
Yep. Now, you might not know the answer to this question, but did Christopher Bush take his own life, or did someone kill him?
Yeah, he's a dead man. I think there's so much more we're not hearing that I can't wait to actually play this over and edit.
Right.
I really do. I think there's a lot more.
All right. Final two questions. One, what's the next location we should go ask questions at?
Island? I heard Academy, but I'm not sure.
One more time, more clearly. Do you have anything left to say to us? Thank you, whoever was here speaking with us. Do you have anything left to say?
I don't know. It's like dead, but it's not.
We might not. I feel like it's saying a lot. We're not understanding. That's my opinion.
There's a lot of voices. I mean, it said Fox, multiple references to children, choked. So, but it almost seems like the energy here is almost afraid to speak. Oh my God, my light just died, dude.
Oh, I thought it was a light over there for a second.
No, look at my camera light just died right when we finished. It's weird. But guys, it's 2 a.m. This is our first night. Really good leads. I think the takeaway, the first session was incredible. Airplane Island. It told us about it. Here it confirmed that someone was murdered. They were choked. It's begging us to go investigate. It might have said Fox, might have said Island. We might have missed it. It almost seems like they're trying to tell us that there was more than Christopher.
That's what it seems like the whole night. It's like multiple men. It kept saying a bunch of different things that you're right. Leads to that it could be there was way more than just Chris.
Well, I think there was more than just Chris, but now it's our turn to try and investigate and figure out who they are.
So you want to get to the island?
I do want to go to the island.
So we go to sleep, we wake up, we take a charter plane onto the island.
I guess.
This just sounds nuts, but I'm down. Let's do that. That's the life we live.
At the same time of the Oakland County child killings, there was a molestation ring in the Cass Corridor. Basically, Cass Corridor was a very impoverished area of Detroit, about as run down as you can get, about as disenfranchised of a group of people as you can get, neglected from childhood all the way through adulthood. You know, people living there for decades, never seen a scrap of help from the city. High rate of drugs, high rate of prostitution. It's comparable to like Times Square in the 70s, New York Times Square, which was just a dump. Because of that, because of the lack of resources, it's very easy for a predator to swoop in there and find its prey. When the infrastructure is breaking, that's the time to take advantage if you're a predator. And so at the time, all these predators were working the area. Richard Lawson was one, Ted Lamborghini was one, Art Sloan was one. This was the same time that the children in the suburbs were being abducted and molested and murdered. And what we now know through paper trails is that Cass and these abductions were tied at least through the common denominator of some of the players that were suspects in the OCCK case. They were currently working the Cass area. Mainly Richard Lawson, who was a confidential informant for the Detroit police. He was given a badge at some point to sort of show that he was an informant if he ever got into sort of trouble in a certain area with cops or whatever. It's absurd, but this known pedophile has a badge that's given to him from the Detroit police, and he's using that badge to abduct children into his vehicle and molest them. Art Sloan was working at the time, the Cass, and was actually later living in a trailer in the abandoned Packard plant in Detroit, which is famous for its appearance in rune porn all over the internet. Art Sloan was living in a trailer in the abandoned plant. And this abandoned plant, let me tell you, this abandoned plant, it's not a little building. It's a fucking, half mile long or something. And it's just complete ruin. And there's a trailer in the middle of it. Art Sloan brings children back to that trailer. And if you can imagine the terror of being a fucking 10-year-old boy brought back to a trailer in the middle of an abandoned apocalyptic industrial plant in the middle of the night. That's what was going on. You can't make this shit up in movies. If it were in a movie, you go, it's fucking real. And the Cass, what would happen is you'd have these little poor kids and somebody would roll up easy as pie and say, hey man, I'll give you $5 to get in my car. And they'd get in the car because they ain't seen $5 in 10 years, or whatever. And this was everywhere in the Cass. They had the pastor at the church doing that same shit. Ike McKinnon, the police at the time, chief of police, he was running rampant with a lot of this shit as well. So I mean, you got the high ups doing some of this shit as well. It's not unusual. Anywhere there's infrastructure breakdown, you're going to have these predators running the systems. Everybody from the suburbs knew that. So if you're looking to score some shit, you don't go to the mall, you go to Cass Corridor. If you're looking to score drugs, you go to Cass Corridor. If you're looking to score a prostitute, you go to Cass Corridor. And if you're looking to score a child, you go to f***ing Cass Corridor. That's what they did. And because of that, we didn't have the internet. There were other ways that these people, pedophiles, communicated with each other. They bought the same magazines. They placed ads in the back of those magazines. So they would read magazines like Boy Life or whatever the f*** it's called. And they would put ads in the back of those magazines for interested parties for some shit, right? And this is how you connected. You connected from the shops, you connected from the underground places. So if you're a guy living in the suburbs like Christopher Bush, and you fantasize about children, you're not going to go into the local drugstore and pick up a magazine about children. That's not how it works. You go to Cass Corridor, you go into the shop, and you meet other people. You go, hey man, you got any of those magazines that you keep on the counter and all that shit? And then they say, oh yeah, you like that shit? Okay, I got this guy you might be interested in, man. Like people that go, how's it connected? How's it connected? How's it connected? It's the hub of all this shit, man. Cass Corridor is the hub of fucking in the city of Detroit at the time. It's the hub of prostitution. It's the hub of drug activity. How's it connected? Because it's the only place you can go to find all that shit. The documents related to the Oakland County child killer case all show it. The documents say we are now looking at Fox Island and what Frank Sheldon had associated with it. We are now looking at Arch Sloan and Richard Lawson and Ted Lamborghini and how the connections to Cass Corridor may have been made. I'm not making this up. The documents said it. None of it is just conspiracy shit. It's all true.
So right now we're in a part of Detroit known as the Cass Corridor. Now, it may look very nice today. This is right near a university here in Detroit, but back in the 1970s, the Cass Corridor was one of the most notorious areas in the entire city. And that's because this is an area that people called a pedophile playground. Apparently, throughout this entire area, there were minors prostituting themselves on the streets. There were a number of infamous child who had shops here, including a man named Bob Moore. Now, Bob Moore's name comes up throughout this investigation as a key player and a possible suspect. But somewhere around here, you can't track an address down because it's nowhere online. Bob Moore owned a bike shop. And according to everybody that knew him and people that have testified, Bob Moore would take children from this area, bring them to the basement of his bike shop where he had a homemade child studio that he had set up. And that's where he would film himself and other men assaulting these children. Now, did one of these assaults go too far and it ended up being one of the Oakland County child killer cases? I don't know. There are a lot of suspects that lived here in the area of the Cass Corridor, people involved in this story like Richard Lawson, a police informant who was a pedophile. But yeah, it looks very nice today. You'd have no idea that this was one of the most notorious crime-ridden areas of the city. The story as you keep going on here just gets deeper and deeper and darker. And it's just crazy. I mean, bro, all these houses, all these buildings, what happened in all of these places? How many crimes happened that were never talked about, never solved, never reported, especially in an area like this that was so notorious? But let's keep going. So you can see right there on that street sign, we're driving onto Cass Avenue. So this would be the Cass Corridor. All these old businesses, and this was an area stalked by pedophiles and other creeps. And it always blows my mind when we do cases like this and videos like this, how normal all these areas are. Now, Bob Moore's bike shop, I mean, obviously also abandoned buildings littering the landscapes here. But Bob Moore's bike shop, according to most people, was on 2nd Street. Now we're turning on to 2nd Street from Cass Avenue. So that could be the bike shop right there that we passed by. There was an actual bike shop. I'm not saying, it's probably obviously not the same, but it could be a building like that anywhere here on 2nd Street. Who knows what this building used to be or what this building, all these new buildings, stark. So right now we're at an address here in Detroit. I'm not going to say the exact address, but this house plays an important role in Oakland County child killings and the story of North Fox Island. Now, through a lot of interviews, it was revealed that the house right behind us served as a meeting place for some of the most despicable, disturbing acts a person can imagine. According to testimony from multiple people, this house was used not only as a makeshift child studio, but also as a place where they hosted parties where groups of older men would get together to rape young children. This is directly tied into Oakland County child killings in North Fox because according to witnesses and people who testified, Gerald Richards, the magician and the former PE teacher at the Christian Academy, he brought boys here along with the other traffickers that were involved in all of this. So also it's been stated that one of the guys that lived here, his name was Ted, he is involved with the Oakland County child killings. He was looked at as an actual full-on suspect of the murders. But once again, normal house. It's just like, I would love to see what's in there. Also interesting, there's green lights denoting that this is a very high crime area. If only you could interview a house.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, what have you seen?
I'd be scared to see what this house is seeing.
Leaves a bad taste in your mouth. Tazalar is the last name of the guy who lived here, and this is where the parties were. Now, from all that I'm reading, there was a church right near here called the Cass Methodist Church who had in some instances personally introduced boys to this group of. That's what the research that I did says. The pastors' names were Felix Lorenz and Reverend Lewis Redmond. It says everything that I could find. It says that the church was located just around the corner from the house. And if you show this house one more time and pan to the right, that church seems to be right around the corner.
Very much so.
I want to add in here. In multiple police reports and official documents, some of the leaders of the Cass Methodist Church are accused of aiding and participating in a ring. The documents are available to view and read through online, and the statements were taken by a detective, Corey Williams. In these reports, victims and witnesses describe how Felix Lorenz and Lewis Redmond provided young children to members of the Cass Corridor ring through the Boys and Girls Club that they were partly leaders of. They also allegedly allowed children to be molested in the basement of the church and participated allegedly in these sickening acts. Now, I'm not going to state that I know with 100% fact this church is the Methodist church, but so yeah, a pedophile ring was busted running inside of this church that went all the way to the highest order, the leaders of the church, and they were involved in the trafficking. All these guys were in on this. All these people were in these rings. From here to the corner, all throughout these streets, and it's fucking crazy. They could all be tied into the Oakland County child killer. We'll never really know the truth. Darkness hangs over this area for sure, like a dark cloud. Especially when you do the research and learn for yourself what was happening. Most likely in this building. I'm not going to say 100% because now that we've done all this work, man, I think it's time that we head to the island.
Indeed.
You can sit and you can drive through all these neighborhoods. You can talk about these stories. You can visit the locations. But I feel like there are so many secrets and answers that island holds. So we're headed to Charlevoix, Michigan. It's about a 4-hour drive. We're going to drive there tonight. And yeah, tomorrow we're launching in the plane. It's going to be crazy. Hey everybody, it's Colin here. Now, I know this is not really that official, but I'm going to be making a very big announcement on the channel soon, including something to do with this story and some other stories that we're going to be telling. So before I make that announcement, you guys should go subscribe to my new YouTube channel, The Conspiracy Files. It is on YouTube now. I'm going to be posting a formal video announcement. We are going to be covering the Oakland County child killings and going even deeper into the story very soon on there. So yeah, I don't want to say too much or spoil too much, but I'm going to put the link to the new channel in the description. This has taken months and months of behind the scenes, extremely hard work from a team of writers and editors and myself. We have some really, really big things coming, but since this episode is like my first conspiracy episode that's really diving deep into something like this, definitely go subscribe to the Conspiracy Files because yeah, there will be a big announcement at the end of this week. Thank you all in advance. And yeah, I love you.
Most of northern Michigan is very remote, and in the northwest corner of that, there's a series of islands that people have established summer camps on, or temporary, seasonal homes on and stuff. North Fox Island is one of those remote islands. You get to it usually by a plane. You can get to it by boat. At the time, Frank Sheldon, or Francis Sheldon, who was an heir to developer money. Frank Sheldon was heir to a bunch of Detroit money, and he would fly kids out to that island with the help of other people. He ran basically what was pretended to be like a summer camp for youth and for troubled teens or whatever. And yeah, there was a little bit of some cabins and cottage and camp feel or whatever. But he would basically fly these kids out to that camp and then molest them while they were stuck on this island. And he would photograph the molestations and he would sell the photographs. And he had a little bit of a pornography ring going based on the fact that he had all the freedom in the world and all the money in the world to isolate these so-called troubled kids with the permission of their family. You know, he was not known to abduct kids, but he was known to sort of con family and bring kids out to this island, which is disturbing. He had help from people like Gerald Richards.
In 1967, Francis Sheldon, an eccentric millionaire from Michigan, purchased North Fox Island, a remote island in Lake Michigan. Eventually, Frank decided to establish a summer camp on his private island that he advertised as a cure for troubled youth. However, this vision took a dark turn when Sheldon, in collaboration with another known pedophile gym teacher named Gerald Richards, turned the island into a base for a horrifying pedophile and child ring. Under the guise of providing therapeutic help, Sheldon and Richards lured young boys to the island where they were subjected to unimaginable abuse, and once they were on the island, they couldn't escape.
I don't remember the name of the gym instructor before him, but he was a really good guy.
We only had gym class once a week in Catholic school. And the gym teacher was great. You know, we did our regular exercise and you know, and I thrived in there. I loved doing that. I would have loved to have gym class all the time. Just regular guys.
And he left. And that's when Mr. Richards came.
My initial impression of Richards, just a regular guy. He intrigued me with magic. He was a magician. Tall, skinny, glasses, big, like Coke bottle type glasses. Hair was always greasy with that grease stuff that they, you know, put in the hair. Kind of like just like Mr. Rogers, I guess.
It was really weird when he first got there. Everything started to change right away. We had to all of a sudden start taking showers, and we'd never showered before, ever. His excuse was, well, you guys can't be going back to class stinking and whatever. So we had to start bringing towels. We had to take showers, you know, so whatever. And he was just, as far as a gym teacher, he just seemed off. He was real ranky and raily. The guy didn't look like he could have fought his way out of a wet paper bag. And it was, as a kid, you don't go, well, what the heck is this guy doing as our gym teacher? It's like, well, this is our new guy. You need to respect that, and it is what it is. But he just wasn't. It was night and day compared to the other gym instructor. The only thing that I remember was once, and it wasn't me, it was another kid, got the towel snapped, and it was like, oh, you doing okay, buddy? And then it was, the one kid got his shoulders rubbed, and the other kid got his butt rubbed because it was trying to make you feel better, you know. And yeah, you can't be doing that, but it wasn't like you're gonna have detention or something, you know. So, but yeah, it was. I remember he used to rub our shoulders a lot. How you guys doing? You limbered up? You ready? So it was. He did touch us where the other one didn't touch us. So
yeah, he would do the patting on the ass. The only gym teacher I ever had that would be in the shower, in the locker room when we were taking showers. Like, and Mike wasn't on the basketball team, so he would even come in during the basketball showers. And I just thought it was odd. But at 11 years old in the Catholic school, you felt protected. And I did. And I guess I sort of dismissed it as, oh, I guess that's just the way it is. Not knowing that, you know, come here, I'll show you this magic trick kind of thing, and, you know, gained his trust, and I liked him. Yeah.
Frank Sheldon was introduced to us as Mr. Richards' uncle. This is my Uncle Frank. So, oh, okay, well, this is Frank, and Frank owns the island and whatever, and we're, you know. So.
Wealthy man. Anybody from that area knew, you know, he was very prominent, wealthy, come from wealthy family, so on. Everything just seemed legit. I mean, it didn't, because my mom, being a single mom, my dad died when I was 5, and I had 3 siblings, so she was very protective. Never saw it coming.
From what I understood, he went to a couple of the other boys and myself's parents and said, these guys did an exceptional job this year in gym class, and as a reward, we'd like to take them up to the island for, I don't remember if it was for a week or 2 weeks or 4 days, or I don't remember that part of it. But that's what it basically was. It was because we did such an excellent job, and we were so well-mannered that was kind of a reward for us to go up to the island.
It was so fun. I was so excited. I had some of my neighborhood friends with us in the station wagon. Back then, you didn't need seatbelts or anything. Just pile 10 kids in the station wagon. There you go. 76, I think it was, give or take. Went there, got on the plane, and I remember getting on the plane. I was so excited. Me and Mike, and there's 2 other kids. I think one was a grade above us, and one was a grade below us, if I remember correctly. And I remember just taking off, just like rock stars. I'm in a plane. I've never been in a plane before. I'm just a poor kid who lives in the projects. Got lucky enough to get tuition to a Catholic school. Yeah, it was really cool.
So I remember we met up. I'm assuming there was a parental slip that was signed or something. I don't remember that part of it, but I know we went to St. Clair County Airport. All the family showed up with the parents and the kids. We all said, yep, got on the plane, and we went. It was exciting. From the moment the plane took off till we came back, everything we did on the island, myself, was great. Flying was like, man, I wonder what it's going to be like. It's just all the what ifs and what's going to happen and all the other stuff. But, and it was basically because I like to eat, not that you can tell that, but I enjoy eating, and the food was phenomenal. They fed us like kings while we were up there. Everything was fun. Everything was great. I remember I'd go out and stand and just watch the water, and you could see forever. It was like being on top of the world. It was really cool. The island was beautiful. It was a really cool place. And we go down, the water was like, it almost looked like the ocean, but it was freezing.
And I remember landing. I remember getting our stuff, getting our cabin. And, within an hour, we were naked on the beach. That's just how it was. If you live on an island, this is how they do it in islands. So. Okay. Again, 11 years old, I'd assume I was protected. That's my gym teacher right there.
And, hey, guys, let's go skinny dipping. And then to me, it was weird because it's supposed to be dark when you go skinny dipping, Oh, there's no girls around. Nobody's going to see you. Here, watch. So Mr. Richard takes all his clothes off, jumps in the water, swims around. Come on, you guys, it's all right, and whatever. Well, okay, so we all take our swim stuff off, whatever. We jump in, and we're all running around naked. Well, hindsight now looking at it, that's pretty wrong. I mean, really off key to be doing anything like that. But they made it so that it was not because Frank wasn't there. I don't know if he was up filming us or what he was doing.
I remember seeing, and when I was talking to Mike, we've talked several times on the phone, rehashing things, helping each other remember things. And he remembers as well as I do, the seeing cameras, and it's like a beach. And to us, we're in the Bahamas. And I remember seeing cameras, but me and the other boys were all naked. That's just the way, that's what you did. That's what you did. If you want to be on the island, that's what you have to do. You have to be naked. So we were all naked.
But Mr. Richard made it as, oh, don't worry about it. Nobody's going to know. Nobody's going to see it. It's okay. Come on, look, I'm doing it. So let's do it. So that's what we did. Come on, guys, bury me in the sand. So burying him in the sand, and, and everybody's naked running around, but it's okay because there's no girls around. That's the way they presented it. Don't worry, guys, there's no girls. Nobody will see you.
It was figured out a way for us to touch him inadvertently, like, let's bury him because he's naked, and then we're going to have to touch him, somewhere. He did games like that quite often. Again, and then if you started feeling a little uneasy, I remember a couple times feeling a little uneasy, you do a magic trick, and oh yeah, it was cool.
We got him all buried, and it's we're running around, whatever. Well, I picked up a rock. I believe it was about the size of a softball, but kind of elongated, and I took and I threw it, and it hit him right in his genital area, and he got upset because he was buried in the sand still. But that's where I was aiming too. I don't know why, but I got him with a rock.
Right to the beach. Just leave your clothes, and you can bring a towel, put it in the beach, but the other boys had to be naked, and that's just how it was.
So once again, they played on our trust.
But there's times we could just go, be boys, But they focused on me a lot. I noticed long blonde hair, blue-eyed, 11-year-old. The very first day we were there, and I had a sunburn, and Jerry Richards rubbed lotion on me everywhere. Again, I just thought it was normal. That was uncomfortable, but he just relaxed me. I don't remember even what he said, but just relax or something like that. Where I would rub lotion on me. I remember him taking lotion and putting it on his hand here, and then just me laying on my stomach and just going between my cheeks, with his hand like that. And I felt very uncomfortable, but he assured me everything was okay, and this is what we're supposed to do. Again, I trusted him. turn over, do the same thing, because you have to protect that. So every day he did that to me.
First chance I had where nobody was watching me, I was gone. So when they told me you can't be taken off, it was almost like you go to grandma's house and all the grandkids are there and you're playing and you're doing everything to have a good time because you haven't seen everybody. And it's like, you kids quit running. Go sit down over there for a little bit. That feeling that's kind of what it was like when I was told that don't just be going out and looking for stuff, like they got to keep an eye on you all the time. So it kind of put some of the fire out,
Sheldon, he said the same thing too. This is how things are. This is my island. I own this island, blah, blah, blah. And you kids are lucky and fortunate to be here, so basically just adhere to these rules. And this is how we are here. And they were naked as well.
I was never really super comfortable around him just because I didn't know him. But when he did that, I definitely put a distance between him and I, and anything I did was more towards Mr. Richards because I knew him. So I don't know, maybe that was before anything had ever happened. So
Mike and I would venture off, we got this island, and when we could go somewhere with our clothes on, we just go and do what boys do,
There was a stump, and it was probably about the size around as this chair, maybe 4 or 5 feet long. And I remember there was snakes on the end of it. So I rolled the thing, I rolled it with the bottom ripped off of it, and there was literally thousands of snakes in this thing. And they weren't like just all garter snakes. There was ringneck snakes and milk snakes, and it was just this. It was the greatest thing ever. I go back and I get Bill, and I said, "You got to see these snakes." He said, "I don't really care for snakes." I said, "Well, come on, you got to see this. Is really." I wanted to show somebody.
There's cameras by the trail that we took. Mike and I would go, catch snakes and salamanders and just do what boys do. And there's cameras, a lot all over the place, really.
It's almost like you ain't gonna believe this unless you see it. So him and we take and go out, and the snakes are still there, and he's like, "You are nuts." We were there, probably an hour, I'm guessing, half hour. From the time we walked there, checked them out, and then walked back, it was about an hour. But when we got back, we couldn't find it. Usually there was somebody right around the main cabin, and there was nobody there. So we went down to the beach, ran down to the beach. We actually ran because it was kind of like, what the heck's going on? So we ran down to the beach. There's nobody there. We ran back up, went to each cabin, nobody there. What the heck? They left us. That's the first thing we thought. So we take and run down to the airstrip, and the plane's there. So we're like, okay, well, what the heck? So we go back, and the Jeep was gone. So we're like, oh, they must have just took a ride, and they're out going around the island and whatever. So I want to say it was probably a couple hours. We got into the food. We snuck and we were eating candy bars and stuff. Let's get some chow while they're gone, whatever. So then they came back, and they were happy, but the two boys were different after they were quiet.
I don't know if it's the exact same time, but I remember hearing one of the kids screaming and crying, like somebody was hurting him, and he was screaming, yelling, "Stop!" And we didn't know what was going on, and we knew it was coming from a locked door. There's nothing we could do except for take off running, which is what we did. Now, I don't know if it's that same time. And I remember the tree trunk full of snakes because that was cool. Wow. We're 11. But we heard the kid crying. I think it was a kid that was a grade above us. Heard him screaming and crying to stop. I remember that very vividly. I don't think he really talked much. He didn't talk a lot before, but he didn't talk really at all after that. They kind of kept him secluded from us, I think.
They didn't talk anymore. We would have cookouts and stuff. We'd cook hot dogs and have the marshmallows and stuff. And everybody was talking, but those kids they didn't really talk at all anymore. They didn't say anything. And it was kind of odd, that was just, as a kid though, you're not going, geez, I wonder what the heck's going on with her. It was just, they just seemed a lot quieter.
The one older kid, he was kind of quiet to begin with. He's kind of a tough guy, at least I thought. But then after that, he didn't talk. He didn't do anything more like sit at the beach by himself and, down by the water. Of course, Jerry Richards was right there comforting, putting his arm around him, that kind of stuff. I think Mike was the lucky one. Just his natural curiosity to run and be a boy and look around, kept him safe, and I'm glad for him. I wasn't as fortunate.
I don't know if there was another building, if they took him down to the beach. I don't know where they went. I don't have any idea on that, but from what I gathered from that, they went and molested him and filmed him while Bill and I were gallivanting around the woods. It's just like it didn't sink in as, wow, these kids went through an awful hell, and until I started getting older and I was thinking, wow, you know, they used our innocence, and that sucks.
He asked if I could put some lotion on him, and I was very hesitant, and I knew that I shouldn't do that. He said, well, you know, I did you, and you should do that for me, that kind of thing. So I did. I knew it was wrong. It's hard to do, it's hard to describe. I felt shameful. I knew it was wrong, something I shouldn't have done. And I'm thinking, in my 11-year-old mind, I never had nothing to say at confession, because we used to go to confession once a week. And I never had anything to say at confession because I never did anything wrong. This is definitely wrong. So I'm definitely going to have to tell the priest this. So I felt bad. Should I say it? And they got you thinking, you know, you have to confess, you know, your sins in order to be forgiven. This is how we were taught. So I think my biggest worry was if I should tell the priest, or should I tell my mom? I should keep it to myself. They said, oh, I'm going to get in trouble, but I might get in trouble if I tell it to the priest. You know, so a lot of mixed emotions. It was a really messed up time, I guess. Yeah.
My mom and dad were more of, let's get a hold of the cops. And, you know, I'm more of a handle myself guy.
I'm more angry that I didn't do more. And because I knew, I mean, after the fourth or fifth time, this isn't right. This isn't normal. The first time I could almost think of a reason why that it's normal. But after that, I just knew. And then, you know, and that's when it comes with the hush hush and don't say nothing. You're going to get in trouble, so on and so on. You know, kind of the scare tactic, you know, to keep my mouth shut.
If someone did that to one of my kids and I found out about it, they better get to him first. Because if I can get my hands on it, you're done.
Angry, fighting, never fought before. I spent the next 5 years, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Half of my school was sitting in with a counselor for anger management. I just fought, I was just angry. And I battled depression almost 4 decades. Sometimes it rears its ugly head, but, you know, I've learned to control it, and, you know, life goes on.
This operation went undetected for years, shrouded by the island's remote location and the facade of a legitimate youth camp. As investigations intensified and suspicions grew, the true nature of North Fox Island's activities was exposed when children began to speak to their parents about the horrors they had faced on Uncle Frank's private island. And in 1976, after being tipped off by someone close to the investigation, before he could ever be arrested, Francis Sheldon fled the country on his private airplane and escaped the legal consequences of his heinous crimes. His escape left behind a trail of trauma and shattered lives, and all in all, only one man, Gerald Richards, was ever convicted for the videotaped victimization of dozens of vulnerable children, and he was sentenced to only 2 years in prison. That's right, Gerald Richards got 2 years in prison for children, filming the of children, then selling footage of he and others children. Something that also doesn't sit right with me is the fact that none of the people who were purchasing child from the North Fox Island ring, none of the other that raped children on camera, and none of the who visited North Fox Island to rape a child were ever arrested or charged. To this day, the client list remains unknown, and that's probably on purpose. The FBI said years later that all of their files on North Fox Island were destroyed in a flood. Yes, you heard that correctly. Every file they had collected on the case, which was being held in the basement of an FBI building, was damaged beyond repair due to a flood. Well, that's quite the coincidence, isn't it?
Low-level scumbags with high-level intellects and resources. Their sole goal was to, molest kids and sell pictures of it and keep doing it because that was their deal. Frank Sheldon, though, was a little more interesting than your regular scumbag because he had so much money. He was heir to the developers of Grosse Pointe, which is famously where all the Detroit Pistons live and stuff. You know, tons of mansions at the time, lots and lots of money. His family developed that. He was on the board of trustees of lots of foundations and shit. He was a proponent of the Cranbrook School of the Arts. He had his fingers in all kinds of philanthropical shit and tons and tons and tons of cash. He was working with high-profile people in Detroit and Ann Arbor, where the University of Michigan was. Lots of philanthropic money floating from him to him, all kinds of, he was smart, man. He developed this camp. He got tax breaks for the camp. He got government subsidies and shit. So basically what he did was he created a little haven, like Epstein's Lolita Island or whatever. He brought kids out there and, he raped them and took photographs of them, and sent them home, man.
So Frank was actually, basically, to sum it up, he was paid like by the government to take these kids out there, right?
Frank Sheldon knew how the system of taking care of disenfranchised, disenchanted, impoverished, broken children worked in the same way that other abusers infiltrate the foster care system or infiltrate, the church system or whatever. If you're a sick who wants to, abduct or molest or otherwise abuse children, what do? You go where the children are, or you bring them to you. It's not like you can just walk around the street and just grab kids all the time. That you're gonna eventually end up in prison. But if you're savvy and you have resources, you develop a system that funnels those kids through you. Just like people who decide they want to, who are bad actors who want to infiltrate the foster care system and have 7 or 8 kids go through their, and you learn later, they abused all of them. Frank Sheldon was working on that kind of system, but it was a little bigger scale. He got, just like fostering, he got subsidies. He got paid for every kid that he took into this camp, and he got tax write-offs, and he got all kinds of shit. Yeah, so Frank Sheldon made money abusing kids. So it makes sense that Frank Sheldon would keep doing it. And he made money, secondary money, off of, let's call it the royalties of that abuse, which is the child pornography that he produced and the rumored parties that Frank Sheldon was involved in, where some of these victims say, yeah, I was at a party in Ann Arbor, Michigan, which is where Frank Sheldon also had occupancy at times. And there were all these men there, and there were 3 or 4 other kids. And, we were there for them. Like, Frank Sheldon organized and hosted and profiteered off of all variations of this abuse. And what is very important that nobody ever talks about, drives me insane, when Frank Sheldon got tipped off that the police were about to search all of his shit, because that did happen. The police were coming down on him. They were honing in on their investigation of him. It was unrelated to the Oakland County child killings. They were honing in on Frank Sheldon, and he got tipped off. They showed up, and all the shit that they were looking for was gone. What incenses me is that he absconded and eventually ended up in the Netherlands, and eventually had a funnel of money from Detroit to the Netherlands through his family attorney or whatever. He didn't lose any of his money or whatever. And he lived in the Netherlands for years and years and years after this shit. He eventually died in the Netherlands, but nobody has gone and said, hey, if he was doing that shit on Fox Island, let's go look and see what the was going on in the Netherlands. There have got to be hundreds of victims of Frank Sheldon in the Netherlands, because he lived another 20 years and he had all the money in the world. At some point, when looking into this case, when you have the police documents, the police narratives, the evidence statements, and all of this stuff that go along with the FOIA documents, Freedom of Information Act documents, with which I have maybe 5,000 pages, which is just a scratch of what's actually out there. I have about 10 or 15,000 pages. At some point, when you're digging through the files of the Oakland County child killer case, you come across all kinds of mention of Fox Island, because Fox Island and the pedophiles operating there were on the radar of the police predating the Oakland County child killings. So they were looking at Fox Island because they had many reports of these molestations, and we should actually call them, we should stop calling them molestations and start calling them what they were, which are violent rape. They're talking about children. At some point, the violent rape of these children on Fox Island was on the radar of police. So when the abduction of these children started in Oakland County, it was natural to start looking to Fox Island to see if there was connections. They started to see connections between the Cass that they knew of and the Fox Island operators. So they started probing those connections, the Cass Corridor connections down in Detroit and the Fox Island connections in northern Michigan. But the thing about it is they're very close to each other. Fox Island, you look at the state of Michigan and you go, oh, well, that's 4 hours away or whatever the it is. It's right there. It's a morning's drive. This is not like a foreign territory. And so it made sense for them to look up there to see if these people were associated, because in fact, residentially they were. They didn't live full time at North Fox Island. They lived full time down here in Detroit. That was just a fucking vacation spot for those motherfuckers. The players were all the same. They didn't just come out of nowhere and say, what if that random person up in Fox Island? No. All the players that Frank Sheldon associated with, and there are photographs of Frank Sheldon with some of these people, All those players were operating down here, downstate in Detroit in the Cass corridor. So it made a lot of sense. I found no evidence that Frank Sheldon abducted and murdered any of the 4 Oakland County child killing victims, but I found plenty of evidence that Frank Sheldon was associated with some of the people that are the prime suspects. Once you open the can of worms that's Fox Island, you start to find all kinds of tentacles, stories of people who, if you talk to them, you say, yeah, I wasn't taken to Fox Island, but I was taken by Frank Sheldon to a place in Ann Arbor, or I was taken by Frank Sheldon to a place in northern Michigan, or I was taken by Jerry Richards to this doctor's office, all kinds of things, to parties, to doctor's offices, to compounds in the Upper Peninsula, especially in the Upper Peninsula one. I spent 2 hours on a phone call, for instance, with somebody crying to me about Frank Sheldon taking them to a compound in the Upper Peninsula and raping them. When you're on the phone with some of these people, it's impossible to doubt them because of the emotion that's in their voice and the detail of their story and the way they stick to that detail throughout a 2-hour period. When someone tells me that they were taken by so-and-so to a doctor's office by an associate of Frank Sheldon and watched somebody get murdered on the table, I believe them. In the doctor's office, it wasn't during business hours, obviously. It was a medical facility that they were taken to after hours or on the weekend or wherever the fuck it was. When somebody tells me they watched a child get murdered and they're bawling while they're telling me, I believe them. I've had dozens of those phone calls. And those tales line up with the stories that we read about. Some of them are in the documents. There's a school teacher now. At the time she gave their statement, she was retired. She talks about as a child being subjected to those people, the same people that we were looking at for the Oakland County child killings. I mean, you're talking about teachers and engineers, and these are normal people, man.
This is just a question I had. I know that there was some talk of like snuff films and stuff. Is there any sort of thought amongst the people who study this case that some of this could have been filmed for purposes like that?
I have talked to police officers, original task force members, family members of the victims, and other people associated with the case, and have found a general consensus that that's probably what happened, but nobody wants to talk about it. There was all kinds of 8mm footage confiscated from some of the suspects, and all of that footage is allegedly gone, destroyed in a flood or whatever. It's bullshit, man. Somebody sat there watching that shit to figure out who the victims were. And if they didn't, then they ought to be fucking arrested. It's like, look, you're a police officer, man. Every square inch of that 8mm film is a crime scene. Of course you're going to look at it. It's not the most pleasant job. We know now that every square inch of any footage is a crime scene, man. Like, you look at that shit and you can tell the wallpaper, where that's from, right? The carpeting, where that's from. You can find people, man. There's still people in captivity right now forced to do child shit. And if somebody's not looking at that shit, you can't find them. So whatever that happened to that footage, we don't know. Nobody claims to know. But somebody watched that before it allegedly disappeared. They didn't just stick it on a shelf and go, oh, we'll get to that shit later. That was the first thing they did when you walk into someone's house, even they're a friend, whatever, and there's a stack of photographs sitting on the table. What are these photos? You want to look at the photo? What's this shit? So you're a cop going to this alleged scene of the prime suspect of Michigan's biggest murder case ever, and there's a suitcase full of child. Of course you look at that shit. So somebody saw that shit and nobody said anything about anything. And so what happens is people tend to think, man, they probably killed those kids on camera.
Yeah, because then that's where, in my mind, Francis Sheldon kind of is involved with the whole child production and the people, in his sphere being involved in this case. And it's a theme that I've noticed too with cases and stories like this. There's those really extreme clients or people who want to see that shit. And if you have enough money or the right people, disturbingly, I feel like, especially back then when it was so much harder to solve crimes, it was actually possible. I mean, today there's I talk about this shit all the time, hundreds of millions of child images that all had to be filmed. So it's like reasonable to think that these people filmed these murders, especially with how weird the whole investigation is. I don't know. It's what do you think was the goal of the murders? Like, why were these kids killed? Because it obviously wasn't somebody who just wanted to murder kids. It's tied into all these and shit, but like, why?
To understand the purpose behind these murders, you have to first acknowledge that it's not one person, one psychopath, one whatever going out who abducted and molested these kids. We know that because they found multiple sources of DNA tied to multiple sex offenders. So like, look, there's no way around it. This was team killings. Whether one person did the murdering or 3 or 5, whatever, this was team killings, at least in terms of complicity. Once we understand that, then we know that this was sexually motivated shit. And the recent DNA that was found, that somebody told me was found in the vagina of one of the girls. So like, look, we know the girls were raped as well. We didn't know that before because the police spent a lot of time saying it didn't happen. These children were abducted for sexual purposes. And then from there, you can do whatever you want with that information. Why were they killed? Well, you just spent 19 days with one of them. What are you going to do? Send her back home with a backpack and a sandwich? Do I think that these children were killed specifically for the purpose of killing them on film? I don't know. My brain is too domesticated to go there. I don't want to think about certain things. Yeah. Like, I just don't want to think about it. But the truth is always right in front of us. And if it looks like that's a possibility, then it probably was, because you know what? They were abusing these children and they were monetizing the abuse. If they're going to monetize the abuse in one way, why aren't they going to monetize it in another way? We know this. They were creating and distributing it. These people are up.
And so, we headed 4 hours north of Detroit to Charlevoix, Michigan. This journey was taking us directly into the heart of darkness. We were heading to the extremely remote North Fox Island. We felt like the only place left for us to visit, to investigate this darkness and evil for ourselves, was deep inside the belly of the beast, on the most notorious island in America. North Fox Island isn't a tourist destination. I'd say only a dozen or so people visit the island every year, and nobody has ever properly investigated the island, or done a paranormal investigation on it. In fact, there are only 2 ways to get to North Fox Island: by a private plane, or by a chartered private boat. There are no roads on the island. There is no tourist boat service that brings people out there. If you're headed to North Fox Island, you really want to get there. We had booked a private plane weeks prior to visiting, so when we headed towards North Fox Island that day, we thought that our travel arrangements were already set and done. We had no idea what was about to happen.
So, what do you guys think about tomorrow? So I've only flown on one charter plane ever, and it was over a ghost town for like a commercial, and it was so windy, like it shook way more than any other like actual plane, and it freaks me out. So now that we're going on a charter plane, it has one engine to this island that has no service, no one's on it. That just freaks me out. And then I seen a video that you showed me that there's snakes on this island. So I don't know. It's pretty nuts. And we're doing this
So just find answers. And I just find this, it's like we're investigators, like in a movie. Like this is a movie thing we're doing, which I find exciting, but crazy.
Yeah.
For a murder case and pedophile stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's crazy as hell. What do you think?
What do you think?
I'm not really scared of the plane. I'm scared of what we might uncover.
That too.
I mean, this is stuff that people get killed for knowing.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's true too. And no one's made a story on this.
No.
This is our stuff that no one ever showed to anyone. So of course, even people who maybe bought or when they donated to the island for these videos, they're like, oh shit, they're gonna hate us. They're gonna obviously see it. You know, whoever these higher up people are, I'm sure they're gonna all be shaking in their boots.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's. I'm f***ing scared to fly a small plane. Definitely, he's not because he's flown planes.
Yeah.
Connor got into a plane crash, by the way, everybody online.
Yeah, no, he did. He
So
told
that's
me
a
the
real story.
Yeah.
But I think I've only been on one small plane, so I'm definitely freaked, I would say. Then you got snakes and my mortal enemy, spiders. Apparently the island's swarming with spiders.
See, I didn't know that either, so it's
Yeah,
just one
but-
thing to add to the list
Of terrible things.
Yeah.
And yeah, doing like you said, doing videos like this is like dangerous too, of people not wanting this information to get out. I mean, like, I've studied cases, stuff that Connor and I have talked about. He knows all the details of stuff. Like, there's a specific story that I'm working on telling where a guy was working to expose a sex ring, and his small plane went down the day before he was going to turn in evidence, and he and his young son died. Someone sabotaged his plane. It wasn't an accident.
So when we got this charter plane, we didn't say what we were doing on it, right?
No, but
All right, good, because I don't want to start going
but
down.
think about it. If this is all
Yeah.
government linked,
Yeah.
and they've been following us, I have a high profile when it comes to conspiracy shit. I'm definitely on a list, I would believe. This would be the perfect opportunity. I'm not even joking either. This is like dead ass. I've thought about this, and Courtney's worried about this kind of, my parents. It's like the perfect opportunity for somebody to sabotage something that could take us out in an accident, and it would look like an accident before we even are able to break this story. It might sound over dramatic, but once you start getting into this world, even this story, the main suspect killed himself.
Yeah.
Like, they did this already to people with this
And
story.
then the guy with the island already fled.
Yeah.
And he's gone. Like,
who knows what strings he's pulling, or people that worked for him that are still alive still pull to keep this story down.
Damn.
It's creepy.
And it's like 1 a.m. now. We drove up 4 hours to get here.
Yeah.
From Oakland.
Yeah.
So I mean, a lot is going in this.
Yeah, you can tell we're all just a little bit.
We're dead. Yeah, like it's.
We had a long night last night too.
So if anything happens to us tomorrow, I'm going to tell the camera. If anything happens to us tomorrow, we didn't do it, and somebody definitely did it.
It's almost like those found footage videos. Like, if you find this right now, we're dead.
I'm doing that as a dead ass warning.
I know, that's the scary part too.
You said it too.
Yeah. If
Say it.
anyone actually sees this footage, we're dead.
Well, we're
Actually, oh wait, yeah, that's true. Well, we're releasing it.
They're watching the video.
Oh my god. I don't even know. Yeah, if we die before this is ever even released or anything, it wasn't us.
If we die before this comes out, it wasn't us.
It's a good insurance policy to have in case something happens.
I like how we're saying it to this little camera, like 48 resolution megapixel.
Yeah.
We're saying everything on that thing.
I know. It adds a little bit to
Yeah,
it.
no, it's cool. It's cool.
Well, it's about 12:30, so we're gonna get some sleep, and
I want to sleep good tonight for this one.
Tomorrow morning, this is, I think, guys, this is the darkest thing we've ever done.
It definitely is for me too. Like, swear, like going to do all this. This is nuts. Like, I feel like I'm on an adventure, like Nathan Drake, Indiana Jones, but then with like a crazy conspiracy side to it too.
Yeah. Uncovering
We're in a
the
movie.
truth. I know. Well, sometimes these movies don't have happy endings, so that's why we're fucking talking about this. Well, when we wake up in the morning, it's go time.
All right, let's go to bed then. So we just woke up, well, not that long ago, and look at the weather outside. First off, look at this weather. Not that bad out. It's been sunny. There's some little showers. Nothing crazy. But guess what? Our plane got canceled. Somehow it got canceled. So what I'm thinking, what if our plane got canceled because they're ready to freaking bomb our plane? So we get on the plane apparently tomorrow now. It's going to crash down.
I know.
That's what if though? Because now we have this whole day off because our plane got canceled. As we wake up, we get a call. And it was sunny. That's why. And it was sunny the whole time. And we even said, oh, don't worry. Just drop us off for 2 hours or 3 hours. That's fine. And the pilot still said, oh, no, like something about no, like he shouldn't do it. Which, I mean, we're not pilots, first off, right? So, I mean, it could have been some low clouds or something, and that's fine. But, dude, I mean, honestly, it's been pretty good outside. So now I'm freaking out because now what if tomorrow comes along, our plane crashes all of a sudden?
That wouldn't be good.
It won't be good. But because this happened, you were reading a lot on everything that's been going on. Yeah. And you uncovered more stuff that's a lot to handle and to take in, but maybe we could talk about some of it.
We're stuck here in Charlevoix. Our flight got canceled earlier this morning because of foggy weather conditions.
Oh, and it was foggy, but dude, it cleared, like I said, it cleared up. It looked nice. We all looked like we're like confused, like what the heck? And
we don't want to fly in dangerous conditions, especially when we're doing this stuff, because that would be a very easy excuse for somebody who wanted to kill us. Oh, they took off in a foggy day, you know?
Yeah,
easy.
True. All right.
Right?
So maybe we're okay.
Yeah, so tomorrow we're going to launch, but this story is like an obsession personally of mine. And so this entire day for the last like 4 or 5 hours, I've been sitting on the couch researching more, reading the book, and there's some startling new shit that I came across that I want to show you guys.
Please share. Yeah, like I know like off camera, I seen you reading over there for a while. Even I would talk to you and you just didn't know you didn't even hear me. You like zoned into the book.
I had AirPods in.
Oh, that's it. But that's okay because when you brought up Charlevoix, I'm like, oh wait, we're in Charlevoix. Yeah. And like it's all coming together.
Right.
So I'm like freaked out because we're in this town and we're in a, like I said yesterday, we're in a freaking movie.
It's crazy.
We're in a movie. You gotta share. All right, so share us what's going on now.
So I'm gonna show you guys this graph. So right here, this is what started off my day. This is, and you haven't seen this, right? Mm-hmm. This is crazy. So I came across a post online with this linking the story to JonBenet Ramsey, which is crazy actually because JonBenet Ramsey's grandfather granted the permit and helped basically get Fox Island pushed through with Francis Sheldon, which is insane because JonBenet Ramsey is probably the most infamous child who was murdered in American history, and her grandpa is directly tied to North Fox Island pedophile ring.
It's just weird that the more we dive in, the more we see how everything's connecting in some way.
Yeah.
Which either makes it's easy to make a conspiracy out of this, but it's also easy to really connect it together and be like, wow, okay, this makes sense.
It's because it's all documented.
Yeah. I mean, it makes more sense for it to be true that it's all like every sex trafficking ring in history is all connected to each other rather than just sitting here and saying, oh no, that's a conspiracy.
Right.
It makes more sense.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's scarier because a lot of these people are still out there and never were caught. Like this whole thing, before we begin, think about it. One person out of everybody on North Fox Island was arrested and he got only a couple years in prison. One person. None of the men who were consuming the child, none of the that were on the island raping the children, nobody for the murders of the 4 kids. Just one guy who was helping facilitate it.
And was that just the priest, right?
Yeah. I don't think he was a priest. He was a high school gym teacher who worked at a Catholic school, I believe.
Okay.
So he was like a religious guy, but I don't think like a priest, actually. Speaking of him, this is his hand-drawn note where he's explaining the entire child porn ring that he was involved with. So if you take a look at all of this, it makes a lot of sense. Like the top is shops, and that guy Gerald Richards was working at a porn shop, and that's kind of how he got started in a lot of this. And that branches down to these magazines. Francis Sheldon from North Fox Island wrote for magazines. So did Gerald Richards. That's how they connected through a magazine. And then when you get down here, there are all these different leads, different organizations like, let's see, Hermes, which is another ring in Chicago area. You've got the Church of the Revelation, which Francis Sheldon was involved with. It was one of Francis's shell organizations to promote child. But then, let me see if I can zoom in here.
There we go.
All this, you can see all this 8mm picture distributors in California, mail-o-matic operations where they were sending the child out, all these names and processes. This is about to blow your guys' mind, though. Then you go down here, Charlevoix. That's the town that we're in.
Dude, it just gives me the goosebumps, though.
Isn't that crazy?
So what does Charlevoix has to do with this? That's what we don't know, right?
I don't know. I researched all afternoon for like a
And the
concrete
airport
connection.
is connected to it, obviously, because
Yeah.
everybody flies from Charlevoix to Fox Island, North Fox Island, though.
And look at, you got the airport that's connected, Nels, N-E-L-S. I don't know what that is.
2 times.
Yeah, 2 times. Then you've got, I can just read it better, like
3 times. Nell's Witness.
Yeah, Nell's Witness. Then you've got the university student, former lover. Then Charlevoix, the town that Frank built. Frank Sheldon.
Yeah. So what town's that?
Oh,
This
is Charlevoix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he built the freaking town.
Yeah.
So how could you just arrest someone who built the town? It's like this guy is the higher up. He has the higher power. So of course, like, I don't know. It's just insane what the
It's
higher ups
also-
can do.
It's easier to set up stuff in a town that you
own, right? Yeah.
Yep.
You know all the ins and outs. You
Yep.
know how to get away with
An
it.
airplane sound right then. You know?
Yeah, that's loud too. So one thing I want to bring up, because we were talking about this off camera, is the whole thing is that there's just a lot, like there's a lot to this. You have to connect thousands of different things together with different names just to even understand what's going on here.
I know.
That's why I'm saying this is crazy.
Well, look at this. Here's like these are the last things here. This is all Charlevoix stuff. Boy's father Barry built North Fox Island. Then the letter M, Frank's or Francis's second car, Michael and Frank, June 76, and then I can't read what that last thing said. And what are those things mean?
It's so vague.
And who
Right?
wrote that? Who actually wrote this? Was this in jail?
The one guy who was convicted, Gerald Richards, wrote this, and this is him
The- all
spelling out the pedophile.
The high
ring.
school priest guy kind
Yeah.
of thing. And
He
he's
did
the one
that
that
once
wrote
he
that.
got arrested.
Yeah, he did this for the prosecutors to show them how everything was working.
Holy crap.
But I couldn't believe it because we actually ended up flying out of Charlevoix because like you called around a bunch of places and this was the place where the charter could bring us there.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't like come, we were originally going to go to Traverse City.
Right.
But then when I open up this document today and I see in a huge box with all these arrows pointing to it, Charlevoix, there's something here in town that is connected to all this.
Now, unless it was just because all the higher ups flew using that airport,
Well,
and it could be
that's-
that simple.
But that's the weird thing is when I was doing my research about planes and flights out of here, there's, I would say, probably 20 airports that surround North Fox Island that we could have gone to.
And none of them else wanted to fly there except this one.
Well, I contacted airports around Traverse City, one out on that other peninsula,
Mm-hmm.
and then one here. They were the ones that hit me up first.
That's so strange that we ended up here and that's
Mhm.
on his paper.
And then the first airport that I contacted here, the lady at the front office was like, "Are you guys doing like research about what happened on the island?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Oh my god, That's so crazy. It's like I've always wanted to know, like,
so a lot of people
what actually happened out there.
Right. Because nobody, it's still, doing the research today, I found out that allegedly Timmy King was murdered in a snuff film financed by Francis Sheldon. I'm going to explain some more of it. We both will in our videos because there's a lot. But there was an underground child ring in Detroit that had all these ties. And when these victims later on in life started testifying, or even the perpetrators came out and started exposing other people, it all led back to Francis Sheldon, to the powerful man from Ann Arbor, and back to fucking Fox Island, where who knows what could have happened there. You know what I mean?
I know.
Well, there's no camera. Well, there were cameras, but they weren't filming like things that you'd ever find. Like there's no security footage or anything, no real honest testimony from adults about the exact nature of what
Because
happened.
everyone that ran it were in on it.
Yep.
So you have no other proof for like another person except kids, and their testimonies, maybe people don't care because they're young or they could lie, so they don't trust them.
Yep.
So the other thing is too is like all the North Fox Island files are gone.
Oh, yeah.
They're gone.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah. I told Josh too. Now this is truly something that's in a movie too.
Yeah.
All the files, like we said at the beginning, of Christopher Bush were destroyed in a flood. The FBI said. Then also the files from North Fox Island destroyed in a flood as well.
A flood. A flood.
The files from North Fox and Christopher Bush are gone. That's the FBI's official answer.
A flood.
Like, you would think the FBI took a little bit better care
Yeah.
of their documents.
Yeah, you would think so.
Especially if it's about high-profile child
with hundreds of victims and possibly murderers tied to it.
But a flood took them all out.
A flood.
I can't.
Francis Sheldon was good friends with an ex-FBI agent too. And that was the other thing to bring up. Francis Sheldon was linked to Christopher Bush. I found this out through a ledger that they discovered.
Okay.
It goes deep. It's
Yeah.
connected to John David Norman, another famous ring with thousands of victims, a guy that escaped justice multiple times. It's connected to John Wayne Gacy, connected to Dean Corll, and all these other just sex rings that were going on at the same time.
I'm just starting to think now, after sitting here with you guys on this, that there is way more in this world than I even thought of. Like, I didn't think about any of this. Like, I always see, like, on Twitter, like, oh, the Hollywood's in on this. There's all these rings going on, all this stuff. I always scroll by and I'm like, yeah, all right, whatever. And I just keep going. But now, after, like, the whole Diddy thing and everything else that's been kind of coming out, and then actually sitting here after the Epstein thing and then this, dude, it's even now actually blowing my mind as someone that's not really paying attention as, like, a normal person doing everything else and hanging with you guys who are actually, like, doing all this. You're opening up my eyes.
Well,
so this is a crazy thing for me and even for my channel and for the viewers, because now I'm just like, dude, this world's more sick than I thought. Like,
yeah,
it's dark.
I'd say
it's not all rainbows and butterflies.
It's definitely not, dude.
Maybe in Josh's head.
Yeah, that's how it was. Yeah, not anymore.
But I'll say we wanted to do this video because this stuff is happening still. Look at Epstein and P. Diddy and all the people that haven't been caught. So the more we talk about this and even look back on previous things and say this was so fucked up that no justice ever happened, maybe we can raise enough awareness that it gets seriously looked into.
Yeah, this is a start for sure.
Oh, you guys want to cruise around Charlevoix, see if we can find Frank's development?
I'm down. Let's go.
All right, just another day in the life.
Hey everybody, it's Colin here. Thank you for watching today's video. Hello to all the new subscribers and hello to the rest of our beautiful, wonderful, spooky family. As you know, every single week here on the channel, we give away a free gift bag to one lucky viewer of the show. And this week, to enter the contest, all you have to do is like today's video, let's smash that like button, and comment North Fox Island in the comments section below. I'm going to give y'all 10 seconds to do this now. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So go comment. You can comment multiple times. It helps the video so much. But anyways, let's get back to today's video. Thank you for listening to my little spiel. I love you guys so much, and stay spooky.
You going? So this is crazy. We just got canceled on second day in a row for our plane flight, which is mental. Because if you look behind us, guys, what do you see?
So many clouds.
Yeah, clear blue skies. The whole rest of the day is supposed to be clear and sunny. So I wanted to just walk you guys through this. They first said yesterday it was low visibility, but Connor, how much visibility did they say they had?
13 miles.
So that's good, right?
That's the perfect conditions for flying.
And you know, because your dad flew. And
yeah, I flew.
All right, he flew too.
Connor knows how to fly a plane.
So what the hell?
So that was enough, and we're like, okay, we'll just spend a night here. We had to rework our entire rest of our trip, spend a night on an Airbnb, lost all of our money in Detroit on the Airbnb we were supposed to have last night. And then today, she says the same thing, low visibility. But then when you keep, and I asked her, and I said, it's supposed to be clear, sunny the whole day and all day tomorrow. There's not a cloud in the sky predicted tomorrow. She said then that it's because the runway is muddy and they're worried about landing because it's a muddy runway. And then, I mean, I get it in a way because, yeah, it did rain some yesterday, but it's going to be clear and sunny all day today and all day tomorrow. And then when I asked her, what does that entail? She said, oh, we're not sure we want to go because nobody's landed there this spring.
So after everything.
But she couldn't say it yesterday. She couldn't say it yesterday.
That's what I mean. Yesterday we were supposed to go.
Almost a month ago now, getting this flight set up. And they said that they hadn't had anybody land out there, and now, like, they haven't had anybody land out there this spring. And so they had to go and check in with all their pilots to make sure that this would even be a possibility that of something that they could do. And it took a week for them to get back to me. They said, yeah, we can do it. Let's get it all set up and send us an invoice, which is a lot of money, a whole lot of money. And then now they're just like, oh, no one's landed out there, so we can't do it.
But here's my thing, and this is what I'm thinking. Now, remember yesterday when they asked you, what are you doing on the island? You said what you were doing on the island. And now all of a sudden, it's the muddy runway situation now the next day. So I kind of think it's because of that.
Because it really did not rain that hard either.
No. I mean, bro, look how sunny it is. I need sunglasses on. It's so sunny right now.
Yeah, I did mention when they called yesterday, they asked what we're doing on the island. And I said, we're doing a documentary on North Fox Island. And she's, the pet stuff. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Then all of a sudden, 3 different excuses. Fog, and it's really strange because if you actually, I'm not going to show the text because her numbers.
It's also strange that they're out of Charlottesville Airport. They're the main charter service out of Charlottesville, or Charlevoix.
Yeah.
And what? Yeah. Airport were they using back in the day?
Charlevoix.
Exactly. And remember the guy who wrote it in a box, airport, and put the arrow to the town?
Yep.
So I don't know. This is a conspiracy in itself.
It's weird, bro.
Nobody wants us out there. So. But we're actually going to try to do. Let's see if we can get a boat.
Yeah.
We're going to this island.
I'm at this point, I'm not leaving Detroit. Well, I'm Michigan until we get there.
I know.
Like, for real.
I'm missing my birthday. Yeah. Because I want to get out to that fucking island.
Yes.
Well, I'll say also the one thing that's crazy is even in the text this morning that she sent me, it was like, we'll check in and see if we can do it. And then all of a sudden it was the muddy runway where you can't take us today or tomorrow.
It was the visibility.
Yeah, the visibility.
Yeah.
And then you told her, well, look, it's going to be clear skies the rest of the day.
Yep.
And she's like, oh, well, this.
Yeah, and then I said, what about, tomorrow when it's been sunny all day and sunny all day tomorrow? And that's when she said, no one's been there all year, so we don't want to go in unsafe conditions. And I'm like, if that's the reason you're not taking us, why the would you even tell us in the first place to come out here? If you're unsafe to land and no one's been there, that's your reason. Why are we here?
Yeah.
Why did we ask you to take us on a flight and you said yes?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's so
No, it
crazy,
is.
bro.
It is. It's bullshit. Now what? So we're gonna go to the marina? The marina? Yeah, let's do it.
Well, it's obvious. I'm not placing blame on the airport or the owners of the air company, anything like that. But it's obvious to me.
It's strange.
Yeah. Something doesn't want us to go to this island. Somebody doesn't want us to go to this island. And it's fucking weird.
Very weird.
Watch now. Should I bring this in or not?
No, I wouldn't.
No?
Want to sketch people out.
All right.
We don't want to let them know what we're doing here.
That's the thing now,
Yeah,
right?
so I'd move
All right.
back.
I got you. I'll just keep it audio for recording. All right. I'm gonna shut this off in a minute.
Good. We actually had a charter plane that was supposed to take us to North Fox Island today. Cancel on us 3 days in a row. So we're trying to figure out if there's a guy with a boat that could take us.
I don't know. It's North
Friends and family members with
Yeah,
the boat. And that's the crazy thing, we only need like 2 hours.
Yeah, thank you.
We just wanted to hang out and see it.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's not really even charters right now in the water, so given this season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The boats aren't even in the water yet. What airline? Did you try with? They won't either. Yeah,
What about helicopters?
I guess you could probably call around to the marinas and see.
That's what I'm.
Yeah, that's what we
Really
Honestly,
looking
let's just
for.
park by the marina and see like who comes out. Yeah,
If we have a
go.
good payment, we can make some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make this happen.
I mean, I got the audio and the clip. All right, so you heard everything. We're gonna now head to the marinas and I feel like we're on like a NPC role-playing side quest game now. For real.
I've never felt
Right? Oh yeah, this is my first time doing a vid like this in a while.
celebrate when we step foot on that island.
Right here's the little marina. But we're gonna try to go to like a rental company over here somewhere.
Fox Island. Is there any way we could fly out today or tomorrow?
Only need 2 hours.
It was about a month ago, yeah. Yeah, and I think that was my brother-in-law who, yeah, they said no as well. Because we're up here and we've invested probably about $3,000 to get all of our stuff up here. And do you know any other way that it's possible to get out there? Wow, yeah, it seems like nobody wants to let people on the island. It's crazy. There's no charter boats, no flights. Well, I guess we are just gonna ask around. Thank you for the help. Yeah, no, I get it. All right, well, have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
Zero. Hey guys, so I found 2 people inside that boat. I'm literally just gonna go right up to them and straight up just ask. Like, I'm just gonna ask if we can get on the island. I'm gonna talk to them right now. I'm gonna keep this in my pocket. I don't want them to know we're filming it. It might be awkward. Hang on, let's see what happens. Hey guys, question for you. I'm trying to find someone that could get me on North Fox Island for 2 hours, and we could pay. What happened? Oh yeah. All right. Would you him too? All right. Thank you though. I appreciate it, guys. Do you happen to know someone with another boat? Yeah. Hey, thank you. All right. Well, obviously that did not work. They don't want to do it either. It's funny because the guy's buying the boat and the owner was in the boat.
That would be so amazing.
Oh.
I can't thank you enough.
This is great news. Please. Please, something.
Yes.
I come back to greatness, baby.
Do you need my number? Yeah, this is my cell phone. All right, I will be sitting and waiting very hopefully. All right, thank you. We might have a lead.
A lead? All right. Well,
City, she's gonna call.
No way.
Only an hour from.
That's not bad. Yeah. No one's gonna help us here. No.
This is not a good place.
No, it's not a good place.
She's got a bunch of captains that are in the water already.
Oh, but apparently no one's here in the water.
No.
But there's everyone with their boats out hanging out over there. But it's weird, man.
It's weird.
This is
May. I feel like May is like
great time to get your boat out,
start,
no?
going out and
There's
shit.
not a bit of snow.
Oh no, this is great. Everything's drying up really quick. This little rain that we had. I mean, I don't know.
Let's do a test, actually.
Yeah.
Let's just take a look at this grass.
Okay.
Let's see how muddy this grass is.
Okay.
Because it's out in the lake. It's 18 miles from here. So they got the same amount of rain. Maybe I'll give them.
Dude, I hope we get on because I'm just thinking of like all the videos we're also gonna get now with the new idea that I'm gonna stay longer. And I'm like, I'm not leaving. Like we're getting this. Oh, wow. Look how dry that is.
There's no mud.
Just that little dot, and that's just moist. Moist.
Fucking strange, man.
It really is.
It's literally, there's no mud. Especially after all fucking day today.
I know.
It's sunny the whole day. They're saying there's gonna be mud.
And remember, there was nothing about mud a month before. Nothing yesterday when we got turned down about, oh, it could be muddy. Now they have no excuse, but now it's muddy. They had to add that in.
Once it's tomorrow, also, it's going to be a completely sunny day from beginning of the day to the end of the
They
day.
still wouldn't be able to tomorrow.
Yeah, because it's mud.
Mud. When we get on that island, we're going to go right to that little strip and see how muddy it really is.
That's good.
Yeah.
We need to.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
We've actually had 3 different flights canceled on us in the last couple days. So we're just like trying to get out there.
But when do you want to go?
Today, if that's possible.
When do you want to come back?
Tonight.
Okay. Let me make a call. I've got to.
All right. I will just be sitting here.
All right, are you in Traverse City or Leland?
We're in Charlevoix right now.
This seems a bit promising.
The first guy I've called easily 15, 20 people.
Yeah.
And then you call one guy and they give you another name.
Yeah.
I talked to a guy who was in England who gave me another name. This is the first guy who actually said there's a chance of it happening. If you think about it, if you pay what the airplane tickets were, I'll just pay the other $1,200.
Okay, that's fair. I mean,
so that we can just go.
And off camera radical, yeah. This has been really really exciting. Like no joke.
I know.
Because the anticipation, the drama, everything. I'm living in a movie while filming the movie.
Yeah.
Like this is amazing. This is great.
It's stressful.
It is though. Yeah. It really is.
Well,
now we're waiting now, guys. We'll update you in a second.
Yeah, how's it going?
Good. So yeah, we'll get you over there.
Oh man, that is amazing news. I can't tell you how many people we've talked to that have pointed us in so many directions. Man, that is, thank you.
This is crazy.
Yeah. It's not a fun place to go. That's why you're looking so hard.
Yeah, exactly. We're actually doing a documentary about the island to kind of spread awareness of what happened there. So that's why we're really trying to get there to show people, no one talks about it. And there's obviously so little justice in the story of the island. It's crazy.
That's fact.
I guess, yeah, we will just start heading to Leland immediately.
You'll get there around 2 o'clock.
Yeah, it says about exactly an hour. Yeah, exactly 2 o'clock, actually. 1 hour, 34 minutes. Perfect. Well, I guess, is there a specific address that I should type into?
Wait, say that again?
He said no one likes to go there because of the history.
Yeah, no, he said it's not a fun place. Yeah.
It's not a fun place. Nobody will take us there.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's because of that.
Everyone knows the history, dude. This guy does, and this is in Leland, so this is an hour and a half out of this town. So obviously now it's someone that just knows the history, but he'll take us. Good shit, guys. Good shit.
We are pulling down right now onto. If you see a white Jeep, that is us pulling up.
Okay.
All right. See you soon.
All right.
So finally, after calling what seems like 30 different people in Leland, in Traverse City, Charlevoix, Petoskey, all these communities, nobody would take us out to North Fox Island. Not by plane, not by boat. And in fact, all of them said, I don't even have anywhere for you to go. I don't know who you should talk to. But right now we're 3 minutes away. We are in Leland, Michigan, the middle of really nowhere up here in northern Michigan. And we have finally found a captain of a boat who's agreeing to take us to North Fox Island. And it's bizarre because it really does seem like nobody will take us to the island.
We're having to pay a lot of money.
Yeah, and this is an expensive video because of this last minute boat charter. But this story is really important, and that's why we fought tooth and nail to actually get here so that we could do this. And yeah, we're going. This is like a mission sent from God, from above, that we have to go tell this story. And finally something happened.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are. This is Leland. So it's time to strap in. And God, just such a weird vibe. All these excuses too. Oh, I don't know anyone that goes there. I can't go there. I just can't do it today. Boat's not in the water. Airstrip's too muddy. Every single excuse in the book I think we've ran into today until we met this guy who's going to take us out there. So here we go.
So he's obviously somewhere down here by the dock. Maybe we could just, that's probably him right there with that cowboy hat in the center. We're packed, ready to go, and we are in Leland, looking for this guy right now. I don't know if he wants to be filmed, but I'll just keep it rolling for a little bit for document purposes. You know where he is, Colin? Black truck's down there, so it could be there.
Yeah, one roll.
Yeah, it might be. We'll see what's up. Might not be that bad. Oh, what is all these bugs? Whoa! Whoa! Oh, it's definitely this boat for sure in the center.
Fishing out here. Seriously.
Bugs are crazy.
Yeah.
Hey, it's because you have to clear the water.
Hey, man.
It's going good.
Yeah?
These bugs are crazy. Dude, I've never seen so many.
Well, my guess is they're going to be a lot worse on North Fox.
Uh-huh. All right, no problem. Thank you so much, man. Honestly.
The North Fox Island story, I think, is just one of the darkest that no one wants to talk about, you know?
Let me ask you a stupid question. Why would you spend your time and money talking to people here?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, everybody here knows who Frank Sheldon was. And,
Really?
okay.
Yeah, we thought, because we were in Charlevoix, and no one had wanted to say anything to us about it over there. So here, was this more connected than...
I don't know about that, but I'd say people would talk to you.
Let's ask him if he knows anyone that was affected by the island in general. You know, real deep questions. I mean, we might have an hour with him. We might as well get
More than an hour with them.
Yeah, might as well ask everything.
How far of a ride is it?
29 miles.
29.
It'll probably take us an hour and 40 minutes.
All right. That's not too bad. Literally, though, there is no going back now. Like, we're on it. Whatever happens, happens now.
Tonight, our look into the cold case of the Oakland County child killer takes us on a road trip to North Fox Island in northern Michigan. Police were investigating a child pornography ring on the island back in 1977. Now, just months after 3 Oakland County children were killed and just weeks before another, Timothy King, was abducted.
The operation was run by a man with ties to Metro Detroit. Police were anxious to find out if he was involved in those serial killings.
Yeah, one theory in the Oakland County child killer case is that it was part of a group of wealthy pedophiles who were trafficking in child pornography and groomed underage kids who became victims. A massive investigation led to 2 people, Frank Sheldon of Grosse Pointe, who owned much of North Fox Island, and Jerry Richards, a teacher at Port Huron who recruited young boys to fly to the island on field trips.
I remember getting on the plane. I was so excited. Me and Mike, and there's 2 other kids. I think one was a grade above us, and one was a grade below us, if I remember correctly. And I remember landing. I remember getting our stuff, getting our cabin, and within an hour, we were naked on the beach. That's just how it was. If you live on an island, this is how they do it. And there's cameras, a lot all over the place, really.
It's the case that's haunted Metro Detroit for more than 3 decades.
4 children abducted and killed along the Woodward Corridor in the mid-70s by the infamous Oakland County child killer.
One part of it that doesn't fit, however, is that the more people know of crime, the more likely it is that somebody will snitch.
It's hard for a big number of people to cover something up. Sooner or later, somebody is going to say something. Maybe not till their deathbed, but it just hasn't been solved, you know?
There were other cases of boys being molested in connection with the ring on North Fox Island, and some of those became clear in the aftermath and during the child killer investigation. But the smoking gun was never quite discovered in connection with what was going on North Fox Island. And tragically, as the years go on, the trail gets colder and colder. In any crime, the more people know about it, the more likely it is that something will come out and make it unravel. There are so many people connected to these man-boy love groups that you have to think that somebody somewhere would spill the beans, and it hasn't happened enough that they can go back and say that they can link this to the child killings.
That one year, that gym teacher just ruined it all. You know, it's a special place in hell for people like that. I pray that he's there.
I don't know if there's a dock or. Yes, sun's coming right out. It's beautiful out here. Really foggy out here, though, huh, Colin?
Yeah, right.
Really foggy.
It's beautiful. I mean,
Michigan's lake. Yeah, after this, I mean, this is some of the crystallis clear. Looks like I'm in the Bahamas right now. Water I've ever seen.
Crystallis clear.
Crystallis clear. You don't like that? You're laughing. You like that word. That was good, right?
That was really funny. Dude, years of researching, years of being obsessed with the story led to this moment right here. Honestly, a beautiful beach. I know. Fucking Josh was unbelievably excited and just left us.
And this is why they did this on this island. It's so quiet. They got away with anything.
Dude, taking the boat ride out here really puts it into perspective how far away from a city these kids were being brought to. And to sit and think you're literally trapped here with a bunch of
Yeah.
It's a nightmare.
You can't swim off this island. He even said.
It's like a boat.
It's the boat.
He even said earlier, he's like, you get out in the water right now, you'd last 4 minutes.
Yeah.
It's super cold.
And you're dead.
It's like 38-degree water, he said, or something
40.
like that. 40.
After everything we went through and now we're here, it's just
But it's honestly still like such an ominous ride over here.
I know.
Yeah.
It's like Shutter Island coming up on the island, like.
100%.
And look at the ground, guys. Does it look very muddy to you?
No, let's go find the airstrip too.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
All right. We only got 3 hours on the island, so we got to make use of our time.
So I was talking to the captain, and when he was 3 or 5 years old, he says Francis Sheldon was invited into his house. And
Really?
yeah, so his parents was friends with him.
No fucking
But
way.
also, Francis Sheldon went in everyone else's house because everyone loved Francis. So he was invited into everyone's houses. So when the news came out, apparently everyone was shocked. Everyone's like, there's no way that's real. So apparently it was hidden very well. Just saying. So that must make sense. He didn't even want to be on camera. He was like, just don't say that to anyone else. But he was serious. He didn't want to speak. He says that a lot of people were affected by it. That's what he said. And which you were saying. You said you got to say things right.
Yep.
So just letting y'all know.
The captain could have
The
been
captain-
a victim because he was 4 years old.
Yeah, I
Francis
mean-
could have been scouting him out.
Could have
Well,
been.
no.
Yeah, I don't know what his deal was or what he was doing, but yeah, he was like family friends with everybody.
It's not muddy one bit.
I know. Here, I'm gonna piss over. Well, this is a first.
I wouldn't really say this is urbex.
Question. So there's a split. Which way? It looks like you just want to go this way, so I'm just gonna go. Right is always the right way. How do you know?
Not right now.
How do you know?
This will be going down the beach. We need to go up further.
I don't know.
Really?
I feel like that. I don't know actually. Everywhere doesn't.
I
think
mean,
it's all
bring
the
up
same.
Google Satellite. He's the one who has service.
It's gonna load, but it's gonna take a little while. Okay, here we are. Holy shit.
All right.
We have to go this way. Look. We're down here on the. Wait, so wouldn't we be going that way?
Let me see.
See, it doesn't say where we are. It doesn't read my.
Yeah, we definitely
compass.
should go this way.
Yeah.
Because this is going to take us just along the shore. If you think of going that direction, and the airstrip is this direction.
I agree. I think we should go this way. Guys, I mean, it could be the other way too.
Wait, what's that say right there?
Josh, what does that say?
Pond Hollow Road. It's a road.
Well, I think we take follow the
let's
direction
take
of the
this.
arrow.
Make it go straight. Maybe I'll keep an eye on this.
What? I thought I just heard a voice. Did you hear that? Wait. I could have sworn I heard someone yelling. Weird that the forest went really silent right when I said that too.
I mean, it's not even apparently time for people to come here, even if there was. So that'd be weird.
Strange. Oh, this is
Okay, so one thing I'll say is we're now in the center of the island, on the bottom half. So if this can bring us this way, we'll be.
Well, yeah, this definitely connects to the airstrip. It's got signs saying beach.
So again, another trees all over here. It is a really beautiful island.
Yeah, I wish he could have dropped this over here. These are like perfect skipping stones.
Yeah.
Look at this on the beach right here. A kid's birthday balloon.
Oh.
Isn't that a little eerie? We gotta climb up that hill to get to some of the structures. Josh! 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 You know what I think this is? I think this is Frank Sheldon's house. All right, guys, so we don't know where Josh went. He ran ahead to go do drones, but he's nowhere. Josh! Josh! But this right here, guys, I'm 99% sure that this is Frank Sheldon, the pet owner of the island's personal cabin. Look over here. I found a newspaper article discussing this island and everything that was happening here, and they had a picture of Frank Sheldon's house on it. And it had a triangular tip, and it said it was on the west end of the island. Well, we're on the west end right now. Here's the triangular tip. I think this is where he lived. Fucking eerie.
What happened to it?
There's a basement under there that's locked. Let's go look over here too.
There's another cabin in the woods. Zero mud out here, by the way. They locked all this shit up. It didn't used to be locked up. But these are the original cabins from the camp where in these rooms children were being molested. That's crazy. They used to just be open. Maybe there's more that are open. You'd think if you went to the trouble to come all the way out here to use these things like they used to let you, they would let you in. Man, something that sitting out here makes you think about is how, it's hard to even come up with thoughts. My heart breaks for the kids that were literally where we're standing. I get just a horrible feeling. But who knows if those child photographs and videos are still out there. I mean, hundreds, maybe even thousands of videos and photos were taken in this building, that building. And a lot of the people, and all the people who got the photos and videos, none of them were ever brought to justice. None of the actual
Not one.
So what happened to their collections? I'm sure there are still thousands of reprints of these images out there, and it's fucking disgusting. And it's truly a vile thing to take such a beautiful island and camp and turn it into that. Also, we still don't know where Josh is. He just ran off into the woods. And look at Josh!
Nothing.
Strange. Well,
it really is sad, just like Colin said, about how beautiful an island this is. To now it's just like covered with a blanket of just like disgust. And everybody hates what happened here at this island, and that no one was ever brought to justice. I mean, it's terrible.
Pedophiles used to walk these paths free to do whatever they wanted. Fucking how crazy is that? Imagine being a kid taken out here. You're on an island. You can't do anything. You can't run. Even if you scream, who's going to hear you? Like, look at this. I bet no one will respond to this. Help!
Nothing.
We're going to run a spirit box right here. Not to anybody in particular, but I'm going to add in here one of the things that is talked about with the Oakland County child killer possibly being linked here is if those kids were murdered here, brought here to be murdered in a snuff film, or even murdered somewhere else, and they weren't killed here, but the pedophiles who killed them came here all the time. And with Francis Sheldon financing snuff films, people think there might be kids buried on this island. You see, when all this went down in 76, they couldn't get a search warrant to actually search this island. So to this day, the FBI, none of these organizations have ever done a thorough search of this island. And it's a small island, but there's a lot of ground to cover. They never took cadaver dogs out here. They never took forensics. They never took anybody out here to investigate this fucking island. So who knows if... Let's ask. All right. If there's somebody here, I want to introduce myself. My name's Colin.
My name's Connor.
We just want to talk to you. Is there anybody here with us?
5-5.
Okay.
Can you say yes or hi or hello if you're here? Sound like it said uncomfortable. I hate to ask to any spirits that are on here, what happened to you? They took me, fooled me once.
Campaign will now.
Can you tell us where we should go out here?
That point. Where to? Fallen Rome?
With the fallen ground.
Where should we go on this island to find you?
Rain.
It's been raining today.
Who lived in this house?
Celebrate. I'm backing up.
Was it?
Did Francis Sheldon live here?
Indulgence.
I don't know.
Mystery.
A mystery. Were kids killed here? Are there people buried here?
3. Are the people that are buried here children? That was a creepy old man saying, tequilas.
Do you remember the bad things that happened here?
Condom. He hit on teens. Can you tell us what happened in this cabin in front of us? I heard people murdered. Ended. What happened in these cabins in front of us? Can you please tell us the truth? Skinning people? To whoever's here, was somebody named Christopher Bush ever here, or Chris? He came in. I heard he murdered me. So yes, Christopher Bush was here? High school. Yeah, he was here.
Did bad things happen in these cabins right here?
It does.
were kids filmed and raped inside of this building behind us?
Intense.
Have you ready for men?
Have you ready for men?
Jack Speed.
Jack shit, Brian.
When children were assaulted in these cabins, did it ever happen where they were assaulted so violently on film that they died from their injuries?
For him. You and Trevor related to the bank. So he and
Maybe to the bank.
Frank.
Did Frank allow pedophiles and older men to rape children and murder them here?
What's your name?
the lockout.
Do you remember your name?
Storm.
Oh, no. Let's change it.
Are there bodies buried in the woods out here?
They're creepy little
like the beds are just kind of like looks like someone just got out of it this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Anything you want to tell us about what happened here?
Guys, we need to get help. Good boy. Get out. I don't have any. I say we keep walking down the path.
Mm-hmm. Where the did Josh go?
We're going to keep walking further into the island. It's weird because Josh left his whole backpack and stuff down at the bottom of this hill, and we haven't seen him in like half an hour. But I'm going to run this device. It's called the Tempest. It gives you words based on EMF signals. So if any relevant words pop up while we're walking, I'm going to stop and we can talk about it. Here it is.
All right.
Dine Hood. Brawl. If there's anybody here with us, you can speak with us. We're not here to harm you, whoever's here. If you're buried here, please follow my voice and come speak with us. Reality is not this. I think this is the way to the airstrip.
Hey, our map guy ran off.
Josh! If there's anybody who's here with us who can tell us about what happened to you, please try as hard as you can to speak. And hopefully we can figure out if somebody killed somebody, where these assaults happened. God, that cabin's creepy up there to the left. Josh! Oh! It said island. Dude, it said island. Thank you. Yeah. We did come to the island like somebody told us to investigate this. That's where we are. If you're here, could you tell us something about what happened here? McLean. MCLEN. Is that somebody's name who's associated with this? Multiple men.
What did they do to you?
He was there.
Who?
Please investigate. He was there. Please investigate multiple men. I'm a little worried about Josh, but let's ask one more question because someone's intelligent. What do you want us to investigate? Island. What do you want us to investigate? Island.
All right.
Multiple men again. Island and multiple men. Island and dude, this thing is going crazy. Look at this, guys. Please investigate Island, multiple men, Island, multiple men. He was there. And you can see there's almost 30,000 words and phrases it can choose from. That is actually insane. I mean, what the f***? I'm trying to be nice and calm for whoever's here. Continuous. Assaults that were going on here? Davis. If you have anything to say while we're walking, I'm going to keep my camera recording. Please say it. We have to find our friend. No way.
Well,
Again. I asked a word. They're talking about the stuff that's happening. Oh my God, dude, that is actually crazy. Thank you to whoever is talking to us. Yeah, you can walk with us. We just need to find our friend. Once again, look at 29,000 words and phrases. Can you tell us something else? These might be kind of hard questions. In the pornography, was anybody ever killed while these multiple men were filming with the camera? Endomorphism.
Ooh.
No way. Take them airplane.
Take them
in a row. Yeah. Take them airplane. Thanks, whoever we're talking to. You're doing really good at telling us the truth about what happened here. So he would take them here on an airplane. Then what would happen? Sprung. What would happen? Sprung. So that's a little disturbing. Are you talking about what would happen with the men on this island when they were private with these children? Purcell workbench. Isn't Purcell hand sanitizer? No, it's Purell. Purcell workbench. You're doing a great job. Sorry we can't stop right now. Where a friend is missing. Can you give us the name of one of the people that was here? What the f is that?
Oh.
Private property. Oh, there's weird stuff on here.
Fucking leather.
What?
This is leather.
What's in there?
Lawnmower.
Oh. He's not here. I'm gonna actually be a little concerned.
Not muddy one bit.
Dude, this is perfectly dry ground on a perfectly sunny day. And they were concerned about this. It's actually been mown. Like the grass is pretty kempt. But where the f is Josh? Josh!
I heard him.
Josh! Where the f are you?
The service right here. I'll call him.
Josh! Come to airstrip!
All the way down there.
What? Oh, there's him right there.
Huh?
He's way down there.
Please investigate Chris.
What? Oh, I had my thing off. I wasn't even paying attention. This was recording though. Please investigate Chris. Multiple men. Chris, there's a suspect with Chris too. So right here, we finally reached the airstrip here on North Fox Island. This is the airstrip that Francis Sheldon, the billionaire pedophile himself, actually had placed on the island. As you can see, funny enough, when we were trying to get out here earlier, the plane company said low visibility, foggy. I can see South Fox Island from over here and it's clear. Ascension. Then they tried to tell us that the runway was going to be muddy. Now, Connor, let's take a look down here. This is dirt. This is solid. It's a little soft. I'll give him that.
But this is in the shade too.
Yeah, this is over here in the shade. Let's check out what it's like in the sun. How about somewhere like right here? Oh yeah, this is completely dry. Look at that. That's not mud. This look like mud to you, people? It's completely solid. They also then tried to tell us that it was unkempt. They don't know the condition. Take a look. It's like...
This is being a pilot who's flown out of grass runways my whole life. This is one of the best kept runways I've ever seen in my life.
I don't possibly see how there would have been an issue today, and then especially tomorrow when it's going to be sunny from morning to evening, complete sun the whole day. Why that would be a f***ing issue. It's very and it pisses me off, in fact. And it's very sketchy that they didn't want to bring us out here.
Because then we had to pay twice as much money on
we had to pay double just to get out here. Oh, here's Josh.
Jesus, bro.
What the hell happened?
Where the hell were you guys?
At the place up the hill, right where you ran.
I went up there. I showed off that building that almost looked like it went underground. It kind of did. And I showed off the log cabin. And when I went back down, I didn't see you guys. So I'm like, okay, they must be up ahead. So I went over here and you guys just went around. So I was like, shit. So then I come up here. I went all the way down to the end. And then guess what? Not only did I go all the way down to the end, I went to the water on the other side of the island, looking for buildings. Nothing.
All right. Well,
So those are the only.
So I only seen those two, but I think they're down here. I think there's a path that's got to bring us. If not, they have to be right around here somewhere. Dude, I went all the way down. Didn't see any trail on this side at all. So
you didn't hear us yelling?
Yeah, I did. You didn't hear me?
No.
I heard you guys, so I was yelling back. Guess I wasn't yelling loud
That doesn't make
enough.
sense though, because we were at the cabin spot for like 30 minutes,
That,
right
that,
at
that one cabin spot?
right at that where you crawled up the hill.
That's the guy who built this island. That's his house.
That's
Whoa.
Frank Sheldon's house.
Whoa.
You went up and we were up there maybe like 2 minutes after you.
Literally immediately after
Holy
you,
crap,
and you
so
were
maybe when
gone,
you
and
went
we
up-
started yelling.
So maybe when you went up, I went down. What's the odds of that? I was just like, oh, I'm already ahead of them. I'll just check it out really quick for a second. Dude, you guys were up there. Oh my God. All right, well, at least we're back. We're back. Now we're just gonna find some buildings.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm gonna keep looking down here. There's gotta be something. Let's see the boat.
If there's any children here,
Xbox. Scanning. FM.
to anybody who's here with us, I have a couple of questions for whoever's here. Is there somebody here? Can you identify yourself?
Harriet.
Harriet. Is your name Harriet? Take them. Yes, sir, I heard in here. I know it's hard to ask or answer this question, but were there snuff films filmed on this island? Videos of children getting murdered? The island, right then.
Oh, dude.
I didn't see anybody.
Albert. Can you say yes and just confirm? I know it's hard to answer these questions, but kids were murdered here and filmed.
Pedophile.
Wow.
Keep off my land.
Irish.
Irish.
Is a boat service?
Yeah. Can you tell me, please, yes or no? Were snuff films produced here? We want to share your message. Okay, now. 2 or 3. And a variety of them. Where were these films produced? In the mornings. Where on the island were they produced? Can you tell us where?
Woods.
Woods! So kids were taken out in the woods here, raped on camera,
Mary.
and then murdered?
Oh, yeah.
Isn't Mary a victim's name? No. Christine Marie. Elder. So elderly men raped and killed children here? It hurt. Or businessmen. Can you give us the name of somebody that was killed on this island? French, it said. French and penguin. Foreign, I heard. Ralph! I got the name Ralph of someone who participated in the murders. Or was it someone who was murdered? Ralph was killed here?
Nasty rats. Do you remember all the bad things that happened here? Friends enabled.
Who ran this island?
Is anybody buried on this island?
I'm a friend.
the upcoming.
We're your friend too. Like he said, is there anyone's body still here? One.
Is it a child's body?
It's just a child.
Holy crap.
Darkness. Multiple. So Ralph is buried here. Who are the others? What are their names?
Don't you?
Me too.
Michael.
No way. Ralph and Michael, two boys. So Ralph and Michael are buried here? Yes. What happened to them? Killed them.
Killed them.
Oh.
Regina.
Regina.
Is there anything you want to tell us about what happened here? So I didn't accept.
What's happened? Irish on two different devices, dude. Irish. So there's some fucking Irish connection here. What's the connection to Irish? Was there an Irish guy that abused children here? I mean, most of the men were kind of Irish. Where are you buried on the island? Samples.
Can we visit your body?
No. As an adult man.
Were you assaulted in the cabins?
Instagram.
Right. France, dude. This device said French and this said France. It's fucking corroborating. Irish and French.
So what do those two countries have importance for?
40s. There was a guy named Christopher here, right? Europe, I heard. Snake. This device said snake. Liver failure. Daddy.
Do you remember Mr. Sheldon?
Were some of the men here involved in the Oakland County child killings? Timothy King and all those boys and girls?
How many people died on this island?
Rolodex taken. I swear to God, I just heard that.
My remains.
Cover this up. My remains. Are you saying that the government covered up your body and your deaths? They just won't come out here?
Evil.
Evil. Jay. They killed me. Jay, they killed me. Evil. So your name's Jay? Who killed you? Can you give us a single name of a perpetrator, of an evil man that was here?
Old Jim.
Are you trapped on this island?
3-1.
Jeff? David?
See no one.
Was Mark Stebbins ever here? Potentially. Is this island connected to the Oakland County child killings, the murders? Backside.
We fought here.
We fought here. Backside, like your ass. I hate to ask this question, but were you sexually assaulted in your backside? Man, that is so sad and dark. It's okay. Were there videos of all of these things made? They viewed us as criminals.
Beware.
Beware. Mineralogy. He's listening. I'm coming. Wouldn't miss any part of our...
Battery level is low. Aircraft will return to the home point.
Well, this camera's about to be out of camera card. 6:03, guys. We got less than an hour left.
Uh-oh, be careful. You got a bunch of seagulls.
Oh my god, dude. Yo, I just quit filming this, and we asked once again who it was. Investor. Oh my god, dude.
What?
Look at what this device just said. It just said the N-word. I swear to God.
Let me see.
I can't even say that evidence. Look at that.
Damn, I don't think there is any, bro.
What? I'm not going to say that word, guys, but it said the N-word. Urethra.
It's in my happy place.
Ugh. It sounds like impish. It sounds like a that came through.
My happy place.
Impish, deviating N-word, urethra, round head.
At the end of the day, I had finally visited North Fox Island. For years, this story has transfixed me and drawn me in with its murky, razor-sharp tentacles. It's a story and a mystery that has kept me up at night and inspired me to take my career down a new path. But after visiting the island, I wasn't happy. I wasn't excited. I was more confused. I was even more lost than I had been before. How many kids were abused on this island? How many children had been murdered for snuff films? Did the Oakland County child killers ever step foot on this remote, blood-stained ground? What happened to Frank Sheldon? And why was no justice ever served for the horrific things that happened here? These are questions that are still on my mind to this day as I edit this video. But as the sun began to set, we knew that our time on North Fox Island was up. So we had to pack up and head back to our boat.
All right, now the boat guy is just straight down there.
Oh, it feels good out here. That wind.
After being like so hot.
Look at that. Kind of eerie that this is a kid's toy marking the trail, no? This trail into North Fox Island is marked by a children's toy. Just thought I'd point that out. There's also, look at all these shells, guys. Oh, they're all rotted. Look at the whole beach is dead. Listen to that. That's crazy. At the end of this, I'm going to say I'm walking away with more questions than answers. Boys and girls were trafficked here. the random names we got, the snuff films, the unsolved potential of this being linked to the Oakland County child killings, and Christopher responses confirming Christopher Bush was here, or at least that's who we assume. I don't know. It's just fucking haunting, y'all. This is one of those videos that eats your soul, and you sit here and think, and criminals like that, their ultimate goal is to destroy the innocence of youth and of children. And not only that, but they're turned on by that sick shit. And to know that that happened to hundreds of children here, how the f is the government not solved this or charged the people? How the f did this just go under the radar? It's disturbing.
There was an island far beyond the shore of the lake where rich men did their dirty deeds. The children they did take, they stole my innocence and stole my life away from me. And now that's why the end of life is all that I can see. They bring the poor and young and weak and trap them on the land, then steal from their innocence and hold it in their hand. The men, they got away with it. They fled and disappeared and left the children of the island broken, full of tears. Children cried and screamed and begged, but no one heard their cries. Some selfish men destroyed the kids and stole all of their lives.
And there you have it. A long time ago, a major case that to this day has not been solved, going on 50 years. Just goes to show money talks. If you like what that, they have done on that, be sure to stop by the Paranormal Files. They go out on site and they do that spirit box, an investigation, and they've got some pretty interesting stuff there. And then the other one, conspiracy files. So be sure to sub up to them and let them know that we sent you to them, and we thank them for allowing us to use their expertise in this case. So if you like what we do here, and if you haven't done it already, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up and be sure to subscribe. We'd love to have you join our group, and as we grow, we'll continue to do what we do, bring the best of the best. Until then, until next time, have a great weekend and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.